Hey guys, welcome to Fanfic Fanatics. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku was Venomized spider and had Harem? Part 2. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Spider Izuku Venomized by Cheetah 2. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Nobody's Pav. The next day we see Izuku waking up and making sure he didn't wake up the girls got out of their cabin without making a sound. It's now in the afternoon and we see Class 1A along with Class 1B are undergoing their quirk strengthening training. Aizawa is instructing Mina, Hanta, Rikido, Ejiro, and Denki in their training. He gives advice to the remedials on increasing the power of their quirks. He then scolds Ochako and Yuga to train harder since they passed their tests by the skin of their teeth. Shota tells Class 1A to not forget their fundamental drive as that will help them improve and progress. Izuku went to Aizawa asking him if any more teachers will come to the lodge. He replies that they only came with the minimum amount of personnel needed to help with Class 1A and Class 1B's training, and as such no more teachers will be arriving with Ragdoll, noting that they had all might stay away due to him being a target. This made Izuku thinking if they had more pros then there might not be any casualties. Pixie Bob changes topic and informs the students that tonight they will be playing a game, a test of courage. That evening, Class 1A and 1B are cooking themselves dinner. Izuku was with Ochako and Shuyo, both girls enjoying his presence while he was talking to Mineta. Izuku saw that Kota wasn't around and using his sonar found him at his secret base. Class 1A and 1B finished their dinner and later in the night Class 1A and Class 1B are preparing for the test of courage. However, Aizawa drags Mina, Rikido, Ejiro, Hanta, and Denki away because they must have review lessons with him. Afterwards, Pixie Bob and Ragdoll explain the test of courage. The game will take place in the forest with both classes having an opportunity to be the scarers and scarees. Class 1B will the scarers and Class 1A the scarees. Class 1B must scare as many students as possible to win, while Class 1A must find cards with their names on it to prove that they went into the forest. Classes will exchange turns after 15 minutes and the game will begin again with Class 1A being the scarers and Class 1B being the scarees. The class that scared more students than the other class will be the winner. The test of courage begins, but Izuku had a strange feeling and it was not good. After 12 minutes, the fifth pair from Class 1A, which is Ochako and Tsuyu, enter the forest. Inside the forest, Juzo and Itsuka praise Yui for her scaring tactic. But out of nowhere, smoke appears which causes Juzo to faint. Itsuka realizes that the smoke is dangerous and covers her mouth. Then she covers Yui with her quirk, telling Yui to not inhale the smoke as it is poisonous. Suddenly, the poisonous smoke covers the entire forest. The pussycats and the remainder of Class 1A see black smoke arising from the forest. Somewhere in the forest, Dabi commands the League of Villains, Vanguard Action Squad, to attack. Two villains appear in front of the pussycats and the remainder of Class 1A. They attack and tried to knock out Pixie Bob, but Izuku intervened. Izuku. What's your reason for being here? Izuku was about to go full venom along with Mineta, who has katana ready, but the pussycats prepared to take action. While that was happening, Izuku realizes that Kota is alone and defenseless. Izuku looked at Mineta and he did the same, both of them nodding to each other, and Izuku without being seen quickly left while Mineta got his guard up. Izuku. Please let me make it there in time please. Izuku got on his spider suit without his mask on and charging up full cowl. Meanwhile, Kota is sitting at his secret base, unaware that a villain is behind him. A few minutes ago, Aizawa is seen taking Denki, Mina, Ejiro, Rikido, and Hanta back into the facility for supplementary lessons, intending to teach them how to conduct themselves during a crisis. Inside, the 5 remedials of Class 1A see Nato, who is apparently also in need of supplementary lessons. Before the supplementary lessons can begin, Mandalay uses her telepathy to contact Shota, Vlad King, and the remedials and warns them about the villain invasion. Shota orders Vlad King to protect the remedial students while he heads outside to protect the students. Shota is outside the facility and notes that the situation isn't good. Suddenly, Dabi appears next to Shota and smothers him in flames since he and the other pro-heroes are not targets. Outside the forest, one of the villains introduced himself as part of the League of Villains Vanguard Action Squad. Other villains suddenly got a hold of one of a student, Mineta. Mineta's Pav. I was suddenly grabbed by one of the villains trying to find out what his or her quirk as the pussycats were about to take action, but the villain with multiple swords attached together told them my life is decided by Stain's words. The villain then looked at Iida. So you're the one that brought down Stain. Allow me to introduce myself. Call me Spunner, the one who will carry on Stain's dream. He unraveled his sword and got ready to fight. I thought of something and I elbowed the villain really hard in the gut, then punched him in the chin. I got back to my classmates seeing the fight between the pussycats and the villains. Spinner. Heroes don't have the luxury of a happy life. And he started attacking Mandalay, and Tiger prepared to battle Spinner. Mandalay tells Tiger that she has left the safety of the students in Ragdoll's hands. Mandalay tells the Class 1A students to leave and orders Tenya to take the lead. Back in the smoke-covered forest, Kendo carries Yui and Juzo with her quirk, trying to find a safe place. Kendo runs into Tetsu and Ibara, who are wearing masks. Tetsu informs Kendo that Momo Yaoyorozu was nearby and made masks for them. He also tells Kendo that Awase is leading some of Class 1A to the Class 1B safe zone for aid. Tetsu gives Kendo, Yui and Juzo masks. After Kendo and Yui put their masks on, with Yui putting a mask on the unconscious Juzo, Kendo thinks that they should head back to the facility. However, Tetsu refuses to flee and decides to stay and fight, telling Kendo to take care of Ibara. Kendo questions Tetsu's actions, to which Tetsu tells Kendo why he has decided to fight. Tetsu knows that the only way to become a true hero and save people from evil is to expose themselves to danger, which will allow them to grow into true heroes, and promises to defeat the villains. Meanwhile, Koda was there seeing the forest on fire. Koda. What's going on? He then turned around to find a masked person. Mandalay. Koda. Koda, can you hear me? Listen, you need to go to return to the faculty. I'm sorry for not helping you. But he wasn't listening. Instead, he was scared. That's a nice hat. Mind trading it, Fro. This mask I really hate. Koda just started to run, but he got blocked by the villain, whose mask was off. The villain uses his quirk to jump in front of Koda. Koda sees the villain's face and becomes shocked. Koda remembers watching the news about the villain who murdered his parents, the water horse. The villain has a simple augmenting strength quirk, and his most defining feature is the deep scar across his left eye left by the water horse duo. Koda realizes that the villain in front of him is none other than the villain who murdered his parents. The scared villain prepares to attack while Koda cries and becomes immobilized from fear. Koda. Please someone save me. Before the villain can lead a hit, he was punched in the face, pushing him far. Don't you dare touch him. Koda saw Izuku in his spider suit without his mask and lightning arcs surrounding him. Izuku. Koda, are you alright? Koda. Why? Yeah, I'm okay. Izuku's pav. I focused my attention on the villain, the one who killed Koda's parents. It made my blood boil. I got ready while the villain Muscular removed his cloak and dashed towards me, quick leaving to block his attack, which pushed me back to the wall. Muscular. I must say, finding out you're the vigilante made my day. He went for a punch, but I dodged, finding him overpowering me with his offense and defense. I go for an enhanced punch, but it didn't do anything. Venom. Come Izuku, stop playing around and finish him. Izuku. Dude, I'm not used to one for all, and if my body is damaged the healing will take long. Muscular just smacked me to ground, making me spit blood. Muscular. Come on, I thought you were stronger than this and can handle my quirk. I looked at him, finding out his quirk is muscle augmentation. He just laughed, finding my strength and quirk pathetic. My eyes turned red and was about to use second form, but my body wasn't listening and being unable to get up. Izuku. Va little help. Venom. I'm doing what I can. Even if you have hyper regeneration, you've forced yourself already. Just when Muscular was about to finish me off, he got hit by a rock from Koda. Koda. Did you tormented my parents like you're doing to him now? Muscular just laughed, saying they deserved it because of their weak quirks. Muscular. But I'm surprised they had a kid. I tormented them for fun and I didn't hold any grudge for my eye. When he said that, my pupils changed. Then I felt adrenaline took over and I rushed and then punched him in the gut, pushing it back. Muscular. Well, you suddenly got some fight in you, huh? I didn't talk, just looking at him, rage filling inside of me, Venom's tendrils forming on my arms creating large claws. My teeth became sharper while I crouched down with one for all pulsing, creating not green but red lighting arcs. Muscular just laughed crazy. Muscular. Ha ha ha, yes, that's what I want, that crazed look in your eyes. Now I am getting excited. One step, just one step I took, and I was right in front of him, claws slashing his chest, causing blood to flow out. This made him back up, seeing me injuring him suddenly made mad. Muscular. That really hurt you, brat, now I'll kill you. He came rushing at me using his speed and strength to take me down, but I was too fast for him, dodging every blow and giving him my own. My punches hit their mark, broken ribs, leg and arm. After that he was scared of me. He wasn't able to move at all since I used pressure points in his body and forcing his quirk unable to activate. I turned my head towards Kota, who was looking shocked and in awe. Izuku. Kota, it's your choice. Do you want me to kill him or have the police take him away? I said with no emotion. Muscular was panicking, trying to move. Kota. I want him to be put to jail. Quick as ever I rendered Muscular unconscious. I then walked towards Kota and kneeled down to him. Izuku. You made the right choice, I said while smiling, and he was just crying, but it was tears of happiness knowing his parents can rest in peace now their killer is down. And remembering what Mandalay said to him, that one day he will understand why his parents sacrificed themselves to protect the lives of others when he goes through a similar situation. He will also understand that heroes risk their lives to save people so that one day someone can call them my hero. Kota looked up to me and said 3 words that made me smile. Kota, you're my hero. And he said while smiling. Just then my spider sense went off, knowing the others are still fighting. I told Kota to get on my back, being in my normal spider suit, and jumped off the cliff, landed and then jumped from tree to tree. Nobody's paw. After Izuku defeated Muscular in the forest, we see both Shuyo and Bakugo helping a student from 1B. While running to the facility, they encounter a villain. Katsuki asks Shuyo who is supposed to be ahead of them, to which she answers Fumikage Tokiyami and Mezzo Shoji. The villain is admiring something on the ground, a severed arm. However, the villain realizes he has work to do and cannot afford to be distracted by the severed arm. The villain turns his attention to them. Outside the forest, Mandalay fights Spinner. Spinner is about to strike Mandalay with his sword. However, Mandalay uses telepath to distract her opponent, allowing Mandalay to evade. Mandalay slashes Spinner with her cat claws, injuring Spinner. Seeing her fellow villain in trouble, Magna uses her quirk to pull Mandalay towards herself. Suddenly, Tiger punches Magna, which frees Mandalay from Magna's grasp. Tiger punches Magna again, but this time Magna is able to block Tiger's attack. While getting up, Mandalay informs Tiger that she is unable to communicate with Ragdoll, which she considers strange since she normally answers her immediately. Meanwhile, Dabi is attacking Aizawa. However, he easily dodges Dabi's attack. He counterattacks and easily overwhelms Dabi using his capturing weapon in melee combat. Having apprehended Dabi, Aizawa demands information, but Dabi refuses. Shota sees the wildfires and wonders what is going on. Tenya, Mashirao, Minoru, and Koji arrive at the facility. Suddenly, Dabi breaks free of Shota's grasp, but Shota still has his capturing weapon around Dabi. Suddenly, Dabi begins disintegrating into nothing and disappears. Shota orders Tenya, Mashirao, Minoru, and Koji to go into the facility. Shota decides to head into the forest. Somewhere in the forest, it's revealed that the Dabi Shota was fighting was a clone courtesy of a villain called Twice with a duplicating quirk. The real Dabi asks the duplicating quirk villain to make 2 doubles of him so that he can resume his fight with Shota, to which Twice complies. Izuku's paw. I'm running through to the faculty to get Kota there safe. Just then I saw Sensei thinking about how he'll react that I'm the vigilante. Izuku. Sensei. When he spotted me, he looked at my suit. Seeing the spider symbol, he was shocked. But I didn't have time. Izuku. Listen, I know you want to talk, but I need you to take Kota and make sure he's safe. I'm going to help the others out. Don't stop me. Just as I was about to go, he called out to me. Aizawa. Midoriya, wait, after this you need to explain, but for now I need you to send a message to Mandalay for me. Once he told me the message, I powered one for all and left. Outside the forest we see Mandalay and Tiger continue fighting Spinner and Magna. Tiger fighting Magna, who is dodging all his moves. And Mandalay is having trouble with Spinner. Spinner. You're not. Swinging his weapon, she dodged. Spinner. A real hero. Again, and she dodged. Spinner. At all. The last swing she dodged and jumped in the air. Mandalay. Damn, you're persistent. Spinner. And so are you. Spinner got in the air and was ready to damage her. Spinner. Now get purged. But he didn't make his mark. Instead what he got was a web in the face, arms and legs, and being pulled back by a force and getting punched and dragged on the ground. I got there in time. Red lighting surrounds me with my red eyes, showing that I'm really pissed off. Izuku. Mandalay code is safe and I need you to relay a message from Aizawa-sensei. Once she heard it, she uses her telepath and sends Shota's message to Class 1A and 1B. He authorizes them for combat. This means that the students of Class 1A and 1B will be able to fight back against the Vanguard Action Squad. In the forest, Shota realizes that the villain's goal is targeting the students and has no choice but to allow the students to defend themselves since the situation is a matter of life or death. Aizawa decides that he will take the punishment as a result of his authorization and hopes that the students don't get themselves killed. After Mandalay said the message, I got ready to leave to help who was in need of help, but I had to dodge an attack courtesy of Magna. When she missed, I looked at her with my pupils sunken. Izuku. You're pissing me off, asshole. I punched her in the gut and then in the chin, rendering unconscious and leaving the two pussycats shocked, but they focused and got Pixie Bob to safety. Meanwhile I got in the air, slingshot myself to see a better view on what's going on. Finding some form of smoke, I used my webs while using sonar to see two students fending off a villain, and not wasting any time I slingshot there. Meanwhile Tetsu and Kendo were almost finished with the villain. Mustard and Tetsu Yu Song, his quirk, got close and punched, and that was when I came in and did a drop kick on the villain's head. After that the smoke dispersed and the two of saw me. Izuku. Well, I'm glad you two are okay, but I need you to look for other students who are injured. All right. They nodded, shocked to see me in my suit, and before I left I got close to Kendo and kissed her on the cheek, making her blush. Izuku. Something to remember me by. I used my webs and shot myself in the air. After a while I saw what looked like Nomu with chainsaws, but what my mind went towards Yosetsu from 1B and an injured Momo. Using one for all in my webs, I shot myself towards the beast, aiming my fist to its brain, rendering unconscious for a while. Izuku. Sorry for crashing the party. They looked at me with shocked looks on their face. It actually made me laugh. Abbott. Momo. M. Midoriya H. How? WH. She couldn't say a word, but I just told her and Yosetsu to go to the faculty to stay safe. Yosetsu nodded while Momo was in a trance because I kissed her on her forehead when I left and swung away. Meanwhile outside the forest we see Mandalay and Tiger restraining Magna and Spinner, who were arguing about they were easily defeated by a kid, but then Kurogiri appeared surrounding Mandalay and Tiger. Meanwhile I'm seen jumping from tree to tree. Izuku. I need to find Bakugo. Knowing those villains, the only reason they're here is because of the sports festival and during the Hosu incident, so it's either they're coming after me or him. Venom. Your theory might be accurate, but who knows, they might go after someone else. Izuku. Yeah, but we just have to make sure that. Venom. Izuku, watch out. Venom suddenly controlled my body, making me evade an attack from something that destroyed some trees. Izuku. Whoa, that was close. Thanks V. Venom. Don't mention it, and we got someone to help. Look over there. I looked to what Venom said and saw one of my classmates, Mezzo. I got to where he is, making him shocked. Izuku. Hey, what's going on? Mezzo. Me and Tokiyami were in the forest when a villain came after us, cutting part of my appendage. This led to Tokiyami using his quirk, and now he's gone berserk. He said it to be quietly while I was looking to see Tokiyami, but what I saw made a bit scared. Venom. Pussy. Izuku. Not the time V. Seeing that Dark Shadow was distracted, I looked back at Shoji, telling him I have a plan, and I bolted towards Tokiyami, leaving Shoji shocked, thinking I'm crazy. I got close, really close in fact. Izuku. V, I need a quirk to help me produce heat. Venom. Alright. Dark Shadow saw me and Tokiyami was shouting for me to get back, but I didn't listen. Just as when Dark was about to struck me, fire started to covering me. This led to Dark Shadow getting smaller when I got in closer. Tokiyami. Thanks for the help, Midoriya. Izuku. No problem, you doing okay now? He nodded, giving me the okay. Me and him along with Shoji started to running since I told them there's activity not very far from here. Izuku. V, is it that bad? Venom. Yeah, it is. I won't be able to heal you right away, sorry. Izuku. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile we see both Bakugo and Shuyo, although the battle is not in their favor, continue their battle with Moonfish, Shuyo is unable to fight properly due to carrying Kosei. She tries her best to keep Moonfish at bay by blocking his path with ice. Katsuki becomes furious that he is unable to fight back, thinking that firing a huge explosion should stop Moonfish, but Shuyo warns Katsuki that the huge explosion will limit their visibility and give the villain more attacking opportunities. Just when Moonfish was about to attack, this is pointless and time-wasting. He was suddenly punched by an unknown force pushing him back until he was on the ground in a giant crater. This left Shuyo and Bakugo shocked, but what made them even more shocked was when I got out of the crater with my spider suit on. Shuyo. Midoriya. She came rushing toward me, giving me a hug while I tried not to make a pained face and hugged her back. But it was interrupted. Bakugo. What the hell? How can you be that vigilante? When he said that, the others looked at me, but I said I'll talk later. Izuku. I'll tell you guys later, but for now Bakugo needs to be safe. Bakugo. I don't need protection, I can handle those villains myself. I looked at him. Even though I'm injured, I was still quick and got in front of him, forming a knife to his neck. Izuku. Now listen and listen well, I don't care about how you feel or your bitchy ego, those villains are after you and it'll be damned if they get what they want because of your fucking no good self. So get off your high horse and grow up, you fucking bitch. Bakugo growled in anger, but he kept quiet for now. Saying that made me feel lighter. I told the others there are more students not far from here, so we went there, keeping ourselves quiet. After a while we got to the location to see Ochako and Tsuyu. The two of were glad to see us while Ochako jumped into me, making my arms scream in pain. The two of looked at my costume and wanted answers. Izuku. We're glad the two of you are safe, but it's best if you guys come with us so we can get Bakugo to safety. Ochako and Tsuyu were confused and asked where he was. This maid turned around quickly, finding not only Bakugo but Tokiyami missing as well. My eyes turned red with my slit pupils, but I couldn't form my claws, so I had to use one for all full cowl. Suddenly, a masked villain appears on a tree branch. Oh my, are you looking for your friends? The villain said while holding two marbles that have Bakugo and Tokiyami. My heart was pumping fast. Izuku. Give them back. The masked magician-like villain. Oh, I'm afraid I can't do that. You see, you so-called heroes don't really deserve someone of Bakugo's caliber, and I'm sure he will shine even brighter on the villains side and the bird boy as an added bonus. Shuyo let Ochako hold Kosei to summon ice at the tree to the villain named Mr. Compress, who evaded the attack with ease. Mr. Compress. I must say you UA students, for having your perspectives and values been chosen for you, I'm rather displeased that there is no free will for you all. But he had to dodge a large ice wall from Shuyo, but that wasn't the only thing. He suddenly looked up to see me. I was pissed and then went for a drop kick, which did it something but not my target. Instead it was Shoyo's ice wall. Mr. Compress. I would love to stay, but my performance is already complete. I bid you farewell. Informs the Vanguard Action Squad that their target has been captured. He tells his fellow villains that the mission is done and states that they have 5 minutes to rendezvous at the collection point. I jumped down, my head dipped down. Feeling my injuries healed, I suddenly sprout out my tendrils, making the others a bit shocked. I used them to grab both Shoji and Shuyo. I told them we're making a human catapult, making them look at me if I was crazy. I then told Ochako to make us weightless, which she did, and I used more tendrils to create a slingshot. Izuku. The two of you get ready and hold on tight. Once I said that, I used my tendrils to swing us in the air, holding the two tightly. Somewhere in the forest at the rendezvous point, Dabi and Twice have heard Mr. Compress's report. Dabi notes that their only action now is to wait for their fellow villains. However, Dabi states that there is no gas or walls of fire to make the escape better. Dabi relents and accepts that plans don't always go accordingly. Behind a bush near Dabi and Twice, Yuga is contemplating on what to do because he was instructed by Momo to take the unconscious Kyoka and Toru, who are with him, back to the facility, but Dabi and Twice's presence are preventing him from doing that. Suddenly, Dabi spots the bush Yuga is hiding behind, much to Yuga's fear. Dabi prepares to go and check, however, he stops after Twice informs him that they must also call back Nomu since he only responds to Dabi. Dabi prepares to call back the Nomu while Yuga is relieved that Dabi did not discover his location. Meanwhile we see Mr. Compress flying towards the location. However, Izuku. You think you can escape? He looked and saw a black tendril aiming at him, which got him by surprise. At the rendezvous point, see Dabi looking up along with Twice to see Compress approaching and getting apprehended by Shuyo, Shoji and me, much to Dabi's displeasure. Twice. Hey, I know those guys. Who are they? I looked at Compress, my eyes burning hole through his mask, but my spider sense went on high alert and I had to dodge an attack while grabbing my friends, putting us a distance from the villains. Dabi fired another attack with his flames and I had to separate from my friends and got hit. Izuku. Ah-h-h-h-h-h-h. The pain was got me in my arms. Venom. Damn it, this fucking hurts. Izuku. It's going to take while to heal, huh? Venom. Yeah, it will. You need to be careful now, and we CSNT use our second form or the one we used against Muscular. I didn't respond since Twice tried to attack me, but Shuyo intervened using her ice to block the attack. Mr. Compress came towards Dabi and was going to give him to Tokiyami and Bakugo, but when he searched in his pockets he couldn't find the marbles. Mezzo reveals that he took the marbles from Mr. Compress immediately after they landed on the ground. I sighed in relief and I looked at them. Izuku. It's over, you lost. But to me, I find it hard to believe until I saw a portal. My body suddenly went rage mode when I saw the same Nomu that hurt Momo got in the portal along with Twice. My mind was going nuts. Izuku. V, can you copy the Mask Gita quirk quick? Venom. Yeah, I got you, but only this since we're in pain. I used Compress quirk to deactivate the marbles Shoji had, and what was in it were ice from Shoyo's quirk. Mr. Compress. Well, now this OS shocking, but thanks for finding out you had the decoys. This made both Shuyo and Shoji shocked, but me, I was pissed trying to force my way in second form, but V was denying it. Mr. Compress removes his mask and sticks out his tongue, which has the actual marbles. The magician puts his mask back on while explaining that he wanted to give the young heroes a sense of false hope and is satisfied by it, as well as his flaunting, which he considers a bad habit. Mr. Compress slowly enters Kurogiri's portal after bidding farewell. Having overheard what is happening, Yuga takes action and fires his naval laser at Mr. Compress's face, which breaks Compress's mask and causing Mr. Compress to spit out the marbles containing Fumikage and Katsuki. Seeing the opportunity, the three of us came rushing and I was suddenly in a lot of pain, making me fall on the ground. Shoji grabbed one of the marbles and Shuyo was almost there if not for Dabi, who grabbed it in the nick of time. Dabi. So close, he said while smiling. Dabi ordered Mr. Compress to deactivate his quirk. He does so, which frees Fumikage and Katsuki from their marble prisons. Dabi and Mr. Compress begin teleporting away along with Katsuki. I saw what was happening and pushed myself using one for all at 10%. I ran and got close, but Dabi fired another attack which I couldn't dodge on time, using my arms to block most of the attack. I looked in despair. Izuku. Bakugo. But he just said, "Don't come, Deku." And they teleported away. I dropped to my knees and howled in pain, anger, despair and grief. While Shota helps to rescue Class 1B students, Ochako and Tsuyu arrive at the Vanguard Action Squad's rendezvous point. However, they realize that they are too late as Katsuki has been captured. I continued howling in grief while my friends were trying to calm me down. Izuku. Why? I could have saved him. I suddenly had tears in my eyes, feeling strength drain. I lost consciousness while V resided back in my body, leaving me in my clothing. The last thought I had was not being able to save Bakugo, and darkness consumed me. Nobody's paw. 15 minutes after the League of Villains attack, it was over. Medical teams arrived to heal the injured students and firefighters extinguished the fires. The Vanguard Action Squad's attack resulted in 27 students receiving injuries and caused the capture of Katsuki, Bakugo, as well as the disappearance of Ragdoll. The police force arrive and immediately arrest Muscular, Moonfish and Mustard. However, these arrests didn't amount to the failure of protecting one student from being kidnapped. A day later, there are protests outside of UA. Inside UA, the teachers are having an emergency meeting regarding the League of Villains attack by their Vanguard Action Squad and the effect it has done. The teachers realize that the time of peace has made them soft, which has resulted in the incidents that have transpired. They also acknowledge the League of Villains threat in their plan to wipe out the current hero society. Mr. Principal is worried by the prospect of Katsuki becoming a villain, since that will jeopardize UA's credibility and cause them to be shut down. Present Mike points out that there is a traitor amongst them, since only the teachers and the Pussycats knew the location of the training camp, although his fact is dismissed by Snipe since trying to find the traitor will breed mistrust and destroy them from the inside. Mr. Principal declares that he trusts his colleagues and is about to say something regarding the traitor issue until All Might's phone rings, causing him to leave the room. Outside the meeting room, All Might picks up the phone and talks with Naomasa. Naomasa tells All Might that there has been an unexpected development. They have probably located the League of Villains hideout. Naomasa states that an unrelated investigation 2 weeks ago had to do with the location of the villains hideout and asked the building owner, who confirmed that one of the people using the building looked similar to the people who captured Katsuki. Naomasa plans a rescue operation after this top-secret intel has been verified and asks All Might to join the operation. All Might thanks Naomasa for his hard work and plans to get payback once he has found the villains. The next day at the hospital near the training camp, we see Izuku in one of the beds. Alongside him are Mineta, Shuyo and Ochako. Izuku with a groan opened his eyes, making the others look at him. Both Shuyo and Ochako gave him a high, glad that he was okay, and Mineta smiled back while texting the others that Izuku's awake along with Mei, Shinso and Toga. Mineta. Hey Midoriya, you doing okay? Izuku. Mineta. Midoriya. Izuku. He didn't say anything, his head was down, he looked helpless, and this made his friends worry. Not long after, the class of 1A came in. Kaminari. Hey guys, glad you're all okay, and Midoriya, wow, didn't know you were the vigilante. But he stopped himself seeing the tension in the room. Tenya informed them that Toru and Kyoka have not regained consciousness from the gas. Momo has also been hospitalized due to a serious head injury but regained consciousness yesterday. This made Izuku almost unmovable. Kirishima. Even this happened, there's still a way we can save Bakugo. Me and Todoroki overheard a conversation between All Might, the police force and Momo. Momo explained that Yosetsu planted a transmitter she created onto one of the villains and hands a device to All Might that will allow him to locate the transmitter. All Might applauds Momo's growth and finds her to be worthy of being a hero, asking her to leave the rescue of Katsuki to him. After hearing this, Izuku look up. Izuku. So, you're saying you want Momo to create a device? When they heard him say that, they looked at him. Kirishima. Yeah. Izuku found this can help, but Iida refused. Iida. It's not our place to get involved with the pro heroes, let them handle it. Kirishima. I know that, but being unable to help at all, it's painful. Kaminari. Hey man, calm down. Tsuyu. You know, if you do go along with this, you might consider being a villain when not following the rules. Izuku, who had enough, got out of the bed, stumbling a bit. Ochako. Izuku, careful. Izuku. I'll be fine. Izuku looked straight to Mineta using a telepathic quirk. He told him a plan that they will do tonight and he agreed. Izuku then looked at Kirishima. Izuku. Kirishima. He looked at him. Kirishima. Midoriya, please tell me you're helping. I know you hate Bakugo, but he's still our classmate. Izuku's paw. Hearing that he was right, even if I hate Bakugo to the very core, he's still aiming to be a hero, but he's still a bitchy prick. I looked at Kirishima. Izuku. I agree with what you're saying. He seemed relieved, but what I said put him and the others except Mineta to shock. Izuku. However you want, be helping to save Bakugo. I'll be the one, including my team, to do it. That was the time Venom emerged and revealed himself. Venom. It's nice to meet all of you. He said it with his large smile, leaving the others a bit spooked, but I explained who Venom is. Kirishima just looked at me. Kirishima. What do you mean by you're doing this? Izuku. I mean, it's my fault he got captured. I didn't give it my all and I underestimated the villains, leaving me unable to fight with all my power. I looked at them with a serious look. Izuku. I know your plan would help, but during the time against that Scarface villain, I put a bit of Venom's tendril on Bakugo, making me know where exactly he's located. This put in them shock, but Tenya looked at me with disbelief. Tenya. Midoriya, have you lost it? Finding out you're a vigilante is one thing, and knowing you've been breaking the law even though you're a UA student, I can't let you go. One. I looked at him, my eyes turned red and I changed my wear. Izuku. Iida, I have been a vigilante before taking the UA exam, and one thing is for sure, I don't follow rules and listen to pros who are full of themselves. When there's someone in need of help, I'll be there and no one will stop me. It's my responsibility and I have the power to do it. With great power comes great responsibility. I'll be sure as hell I'll follow through it. This left them shocked finding out that I'm the vigilante, but how I'm going to risk not bring a hero. Well, it doesn't matter to me. What's important is to get Bakugo back and not involved with any fighting. I sighed inside, knowing my team, they will get involved with my misfortune no matter if I say no. Venom, you really going to have to reveal yourself to your mom, cause that hero Eraserhead might do it. Izuku, if he doesn't I don't have to tell at all. Venom, you're really a pussy and can't get rid of your V card. Izuku, you know what, fuck you. Venom, love you too. I sighed and looked at Ochako, telling her sorry for not saying anything about my vigilante life, but she understood, including Shuyo. But I looked towards Tenya, knowing the two of us won't agree with each other soon. Nobody's paw. Outside of the hospital we see Izuku in black clothing walking towards to see his mom and Toga, along with a police officer coming towards him. Inko. Izuku, we were so worried about you. She came to him, giving him a tight hug while crying, and Toga came in and hugged as well. She looked at him with eyes saying they'll talk later. After talking to his mom and the police officer, we see Izuku and Toga alone. Toga. So I heard from Mineta that we're doing a rescue mission. Izuku. Yeah, but it's just that I don't want the others to be involved. I'm having doubts that if they join they might get expelled from UA. Toga. What about you? He looked at her while smiling. Izuku. Going full vigilante, I guess, after giving back All Might his quirk, since he might find out about my alter ego. She suddenly backed him in a wall and kissed him, both enjoying it for a few seconds until Toga releases her lips from his. Toga. From what I seen you seemed happy going to UA, so please don't try to get expelled for my sake and your friends. Izuku. Sigh. Alright, I'll try. He smiled at her and told her they'll leave at night at the hospital, saying he still needs to be checked, which she nodded, and Mineta staying close by. But then he started thinking about the conversation he had with his classmates. Flashback. We see Izuku and the others trying to persuade him. Tenya. Midoriya, this cannot stand. If you do this you'll jeopardize your life and be expelled. Izuku. Then that's a risk I'm willing to take. You can't change my mind. Kirishima. Midoriya, I understand you want to help, but I want to help as well, knowing I can. But he didn't finish. Izuku. Kirishima, I appreciate it, but I don't want you to be involved and get expelled. Like I said, it's my responsibility. Tsuyu. But Midoriya, if you do this the heroes might consider you a villain from breaking the rules. He just smiled. Izuku. Then that's a risk I'm willing to take. This shocked some of them hearing what he said. Tenya. Did you forget about the Hosu incident? You're acting like how I was. Izuku just looked at him. Izuku. So tell me something, Iida, would you stop me from saving Bakugo? Tenya. If it means to prevent you from breaking the rules, But he didn't finish since he was silenced by a sword close to his neck. But that's not the only thing. Black tendrils were hovering around him. Izuku. My tendrils are pinpointed to areas that can make you die instantly. This put the others in shock. Izuku. You said you would stop me, but how, I wonder? Izuku removed his weapon and his tendrils and got back on his bed. Izuku. Kirishima, I'm giving you a warning, don't rescue Bakugo, cause I'll be the one to do it, understand? He looked at him with a serious look and he nodded, leaving the others shaken. But that was the time the doctor came in and told the students to leave, which they did, while Ochako and Shuyo gave Izuku a kiss on his cheeks. After they left, Doctor. Well, I must say, even with the injuries you had, your arms still recovered. Izuku. Thanks V. Venom. No problem, Doctor. Now I would tell you you're okay to leave, but we wanted you to stay for a little while, making sure you're okay. Izuku nodded in understanding, but before the doctor left he gave him a letter and left. Izuku looked at the letter and opened to see that it came from Kota, telling him he was glad to have met him and wanted to thank him in person for saving him. This made Izuku happy to have saved someone, but he still felt bad not being able to save not only Bakugo but the others who were hurt, especially the girls he had feelings for. End of flashback. Later at night at the hospital we see Izuku along with Mineta and Toga, who have their suits on, waiting for Shinso and Mei. It didn't take long for them to see each other both in their suits. Izuku was surprised to see Mei's suit, which didn't help his imagination. She will wear a face mask around her nose and mouth and remove the sword since she's using only fire power, and her hair will change into dark pink and her pupils will change as well in vigilante mode. Izuku. Wow, Mei, love the suit. She came towards him, her face mask off, and gave him a kiss on the lips. "May. I wanted to give you show, but that'll have to wait, we got a rescue mission." Izuku's paw. Hearing I nodded. Izuku. V suit up. Venom. Copy. My suit was around me and ready for action, also adding the full gauntlet on both of my arms to remember Melissa. Hope I get to see her again. Little did he know, he fucking jinxed himself. Mineta looked at me. Mineta. So is that like your catchphrase or something? Izuku. Yeah, something like that. Mineta. Anyways, how do we get to our location? May came in saying she found a piece of Venom's self, using her babies to find it. Izuku. Okay, we know the location, so we're going airborne for this. When I said that my suit formed large black wings on my back, and Toga decided to do the same. Izuku. Guess you've been practicing. She smiled at me and I did the same after that. I told them to get ready, but then Tenya came out of nowhere. Tenya. Midoriya. I looked at him and sighed. Izuku. Iida, I won't change my mind and you can't stop me. Iida. If I can't stop, then I'm coming with you. I narrowed my eyes with my mask on and was about to put him unconscious, but someone else did it, and it was Shuyo along with Ochako. Izuku. Girls. Shuyo. We figured Iida wouldn't listen, so followed you guys, but enough about that, you guys need to go. Ochako. And please be safe. I nodded to them and gave both of them kisses on their lips and took flight, with me holding Mineta, Toga holding Shinso, and May using her thrusters to be in the air. I looked over the night sky, calming myself for a battle that might happen. Team Venomised was ready and took flight for their rescue mission. At the police station, All Might, Endeavor, Best Jeanist and Edgeshot start a strategy meeting with Naomasa regarding Katsuki's rescue operation. Meanwhile, inside the League of Villains hideout, Katsuki is strapped and restrained on a chair, being surrounded by members of the Vanguard Action Squad, Kurogiri, and Tamura. Tamura. Being able to capture wasn't easy but worth it. It's too bad that kid with green didn't come, but oh well. Now Katsuki, Bakugo, will you join the League of Villains? But Katsuki vehemently tells him to drop the small talk and go die. Nobody's paw. Meanwhile, we see Team Venomised in the sky above the city of Yokohama in the Kanagawa Prefecture. According to what May said to the team, Bakugo should be in a place at Kamino Ward. Izuku looked down at the city, but his focus was on the broadcast of the public apology issued by UA. The video clip shows Principal Nedzu, Aizawa-sensei and Vlad King apologizing for failing to protect the students from the villain attack at the training camp, as well as their shortcomings. One of the journalists questions what measures UA is taking to address the matter. Principal Nedzu replies that they are taking strong measures to guarantee the safety of their students by strengthening UA's security and re-examining UA's crime prevention system. However, the people watching are not satisfied with their apology or measures to protect the students and are still displeased with them due to UA not trying to actually protect their students. Izuku sees that UA is being treated like criminals and notices the mood change, but he had to focus knowing the location of Bakugo. He used his sonar not long after the team went to the location. At the same time, inside the League of Villains hideout, Tamura along with the Vanguard Action Squad and Katsuki have also been watching the broadcast of UA's public apology. Tamura understands why society is criticizing UA for their failure, and that is because the current hero society is not just. Spinner agrees that the current hero society isn't just, since the modern heroes are only doing their job for compensation and not out of selflessness. Tamura explains that the League of Villains are fighting for a just society and intends to win this battle. Tamura orders Dabi to remove Katsuki's restraints, although Dabi is unsure since Katsuki might attack. Tamura wants to treat Katsuki as an equal and is aware that Katsuki knows he has no possibility of winning. Dabi has twice removed the restraints. As Twice removes the restraints, Mr. Compress apologizes to Katsuki for forcibly kidnapping him and explains that the League of Villains is not just a group of hoodlums perpetuating crimes, nor did they casually abduct him. He goes on by saying that everyone in the League of Villains is shackled by the current society and hopes that Katsuki understands their discrimination. Katsuki's restraints are removed. As Tamura approaches Katsuki, Katsuki attacks Tamura with his explosions. Katsuki tells the League of Villains that it is pointless to try and make him change his mind, as he has already been won over by the way All Might looks when he wins. Katsuki says that from the beginning he has dreamed of becoming a hero and surpassing All Might, and nothing they say will change that. The smoke from Katsuki's explosions clears and Tamura sees that the hand on his face has been blown off as a result of Katsuki's attack. Nobody's paw. At UA's public apology broadcast, Aizawa is telling the reporters that he decided to let the students fight due to not knowing the full situation in order to prevent the worst possible situation from happening, and as a result, no students were killed, telling them that Spider-Man was there to lend a hand. Principal Nedzu states that the situation would have been much worse if Kendo and Tetsu did not defeat the gas-masked villain with help of Spider-Man. Principal Nedzu also says that they are seeing to the well-being of their students and have not seen any signs of emotional trauma. Reporter: Excuse me, Mr. Nedzu, isn't UA already failed in securing the students' well-being due to not checking Mr. Bakugo's mental instability and his villain-like performance during the sports festival? Mr. Principal, Vlad King and Shota knew that the reporter is purposely provoking them with this particular question. Shota answers that out of all the students, Katsuki was the one who showed that his conviction to be a hero was the strongest and believes the villains to be foolish if they think that they can turn Katsuki into a villain. Nedzu backs up Shota by saying that they are working with the police force to investigate Katsuki's whereabouts and promises to retrieve him. In the villain's hideout, Bakugo was seen watching and listening to UA's public apology after he was released from his restraints and tells his captors that UA are correct about him desiring to be a hero. Katsuki taunts the Vanguard Action Squad and Tamura, telling them that his combat authorizations have not been revoked. However, Dabi, Twice, and Mr. Compress are not intimidated. They wonder about Katsuki's mental state and conclude that he has messed up by going against them. Kurogiri attempts to help Tamura, but he is silenced when Tamura glares fiercely, which stops Kurogiri and makes Katsuki tense. After picking up his hand and putting it on his face, Tamura understands that Katsuki will not be convinced to join them with mere words alone and realizes Katsuki's importance. Tamura also knows that time is of the essence and decides to ask for the force of his teacher to help him convince Katsuki. Tamura's master, who has been watching Tamura on his computer, commends his apprentice for his wise decision. Meanwhile, we see Team Venomised up in the air observing the hideout of the League of Villains. Toga: So should we just barge in, or? Izuku: No, from what I'm seeing it looks like the heroes are about to intervene, so we'll wait. Mineta: Yeah, seems like a good idea. Mei Shinso: Same. Meanwhile, the police force along with Naomasa and the large pro-hero team consisting of All Might, Endeavor, Best Jeanist, Edgeshot, Kamui Woods, MT Lady, Tiger and Gran Torino are preparing to invade the League of Villains hideout. Best Jeanist mulls over his failure to try and help change Katsuki's personality, while Tiger notes that his teammate Ragdoll was also kidnapped and believes that based on the tracking device, there are multiple League of Villains hideouts. Naomasa states that they know the hideout Katsuki is in and tells the pro-hero team that while investing their efforts in rescuing Katsuki, they will capture the other hideouts to block off the League of Villains' escape route. All Might and Gran Torino converse between themselves and conclude that All for One is making a move. The time for the pro-heroes and the police force to initiate the rescue operation has come. Naomasa tells everyone that the rescue operation is a battle of speed and to not let any villains retaliate. Naomasa reveals that UA's public apology broadcast was to deceive the villains into thinking that the heroes were having a hard time and could not afford to attack today. Thus the pro-heroes and the police force have the element of surprise on their side for their counterattack, since the League of Villains are not expecting them to attack now. The pro-heroes and the police force head out and stand in front of the League of Villains hideout. All Might prepares to attack. At the villains' hideout, Katsuki wonders about Tamura's teacher. Tamura orders Kurogiri and Mr. Compress to knock out Katsuki, but then knocking is heard on the door. Hey, pizza delivery. This confuses Tamura and Kurogiri. Suddenly, All Might smashes into the hideout, which shocks Tamura, Kurogiri and the Vanguard Action Squad. Tamura attempts to order Kurogiri to create portals, but Kamui Woods swings in and uses his lacquered chains prison to restrain Tamura, Kurogiri and the Vanguard Action Squad, which prevents Kurogiri from creating an escape route. Dabi prepares to use his flames to burn away Kamui Woods' wood, but Gran Torino kicks Dabi, stopping Dabi from using his quirk. All Might, Kamui Woods, and Gran Torino have restrained the League of Villains. Mr. Compress realizes that UA's press conference was just a diversion so that the League of Villains would lower their guard. The door opens, revealing Edgeshot to be the one playing the role as Pizza Guy. Edgeshot notes that the pro-heroes won't be so careless as before while some members of the police force move into the room. Edgeshot also comments that the police force and other pro-heroes have surrounded the perimeter outside. Outside, Endeavor complains that All Might led the raid instead of him. Naomasa informs Endeavor that he can stop any villain that tries to escape since he has a wider field of view. All Might. Endeavor agrees with Naomasa's analysis. All Might sees Katsuki and compliments him for not being scared, much to Katsuki's chagrin. Tamura tells the heroes that they are also not a few in number and orders Kurogiri to being in all the Nomus. However, Kurogiri isn't able to bring in the Nomus with his quirk since they are not there, which surprises Tamura. At the League of Villains, Warehouse smashes the front of the warehouse by slamming a truck onto the warehouse with her foot, which shocks Izuku and his group. Mount Lady along with Tiger, Best Jeanist, and another pro-hero infiltrate the partially destroyed warehouse and apprehend all the Nomus while Tiger rescues Ragdoll. At the League of Villains hideout, All Might, Utamura Shigaraki underestimating as pro-heroes, the police force as well as the unwavering spirit of youth. All Might declares that it is game over for Tamura and the League of Villains. Tamura, I refuse your claim. Symbol of peace. This is only the beginning for the League of Villains and we will destroy this society you created. Tamura orders Kurogiri to create portals so that they can escape. However, Kurogiri has fainted due to Edgeshot using his quirk to paper thin his body enough to enter Kurogiri's body and knock him out from the inside. Gran Torino asks Tamura the location of All for One. Tamura becomes silent and begins reminiscing his past. He suffered in a terrible incident and no hero came to save him. However, his teacher was the one who saved him. The flashback of his childhood enrages Tamura. Shigaraki. I hate you, Almut. Suddenly, a mysterious black liquid appears out of thin air with Nomus appearing out of the phenomenon which surprises the League of Villains and then pro-heroes. Edgeshot notices that the black liquid is not Kurogiri's doing since he is unconscious. More Nomus begin appearing from the masses of the mysterious black liquid. All Might. Young Bakugo. He tried to grab him but Katsuki began dissolving into the black liquid and disappears. All Might. Kamui asks for reinforcements. However, Kamui sees that Naomasa, Endeavor, and the police force are being attacked by dozens of Nomus that are appearing out of multiple black liquid-like gates. Naomasa calls the warehouse infiltration team for backup but they do not reply. Tamura realizes that what is transpiring is the work of his teacher. 2 minutes earlier at the League of Villains warehouse, the pro-hero group consisting of MT, Lady, Best Jeanist, Tiger, and gang have apprehended the Nomus and secured the warehouse. Tiger attempts to speak to Ragdoll, but she does not respond as she is unresponsive. The team looked at the situation but Izuku was saying to wait to and getting their weapons ready. Meanwhile someone appears in the darkness before the pro-heroes. The person standing a few meters away from them is the user of All for One. I apologize for your friend but fear not, she's in a comatose state because I stole her quirk which is rather useful. The villain apologizes to Tiger about Ragdoll. Best Jeanist prepares to act and orders his fellow pro-heroes to stop the villain. Before the pro-heroes can act, the entire warehouse is completely destroyed and the surrounding area has suffered extensive damage as well. It is revealed that All for One unleashed a blast wave that has seemingly killed the pro-heroes, destroyed the warehouse and dealt significant damage to the surrounding area in less than a second. All for One is livid with the pro-heroes for interfering with his apprentice, Tamura, who has started thinking for himself as well as leading others by himself in hopes they no longer bother him. All for One's deadly aura utterly terrified the team in the sky, making sure they're not seen, but the one who didn't feel scared was Izuku. Him along with Venom were pushing his fear aside when he realized who the man below them is. Since All Might told him about All for One, Izuku was narrowing his eyes thinking of fighting and to face such a monster in battle. At the League of Villains hideout, Tamura, Kurogiri and the Vanguard Action Squad are entrapped in the mysterious black liquid. All Might and Gran Torino attempt to stop them but the mysterious black liquid teleports Tamura, Kurogiri and the Vanguard Action Squad away from the hideout. Kamui Woods mulls over his failure in restraining the League of Villains while Edgeshot tells him not to worry since they could not do anything either. 4 Nomus attack All Might. However, All Might defeats the Nomus with Oklahoma Smash. Outside the hideout, Naomasa along with Endeavor and the police force continue battling the dozens of Nomus and have the upper hand. All Might appears and decides to leave the rest to Endeavor. At the destroyed League of Villains warehouse, Best Jeanist along with MT. Lady, Tiger, and Gang Orca have survived the blast but are heavily injured. All for One claps his hands and praises Best Jeanist for using his quirk to pull his fellow pro heroes out of the way in order to reduce the blast's impact on them. Despite his heavy injuries, Best Jeanist attempts to fight back and begins sending fiber strings. However, All for One impales Best Jeanist from afar, which seemingly kills Best Jeanist. All for One mentions that he doesn't need Best Jeanist's quirk because it doesn't suit Tamura's personality. Suddenly, Katsuki materializes from the black liquid in front of All for One, which catches the attention of Izuku's group. All for One apologizes to Katsuki as Tamura, Kurogiri and the Vanguard Action Squad materialize from the black liquid as well. All for One sees that his apprentice, Tamura, has failed again. However, All for One is neither angry nor disappointed with Tamura and encourages Tamura to try again since he still has the Vanguard Action Squad and Katsuki whom he deemed important. All for One implores Tamura to continue trying as many times as he likes since everything is for his sake. Oh, I see you finally arrived. All Might appeared and attacked All for One, but he blocks All Might's attacks. All Might, I will make sure you are taken down. All for One. All for One. Oh, do you think you can kill me? All Might. All Might and All for One clash, which creates a shockwave that sends Katsuki, Tamura and the Vanguard Action Squad backwards. Both All for One and All Might criticize each other for becoming weaker. All Might declares that he will save Katsuki and won't repeat the same mistake as he did 5 years ago, and this time he will definitely put All for One behind bars along with the League of Villains. All Might charges at All for One. However, All for One sends a huge blast wave at All Might, causing the symbol of peace to be sent flying away with great force. All for One's blast wave attack not only hits All Might but destroys several buildings in the process. Katsuki becomes concerned, but All for One tells Katsuki not to fret since his blast wave attack isn't strong enough to kill him. All for One orders Tamura to escape along with Katsuki and comments that his black liquid warping quirk won't help Tamura and the League of Villains escape. All for One uses a quirk that forcefully activates Kurogiri's warp gate, which causes a portal to open. All for One orders the League of Villains to escape into Kurogiri's portal. Suddenly, All Might reappears onto the battlefield, refusing to allow his arch-nemesis to escape and charges at him. Before heading into battle, All for One tells Tamura that he can still grow stronger. All for One and All Might clash again. Mr. Compress uses his quirk on the unconscious Dabi and tells Tamura that they should escape while they can. The League of Villains prepare to take Katsuki while Katsuki prepares for battle. Meanwhile, up in the sky, Izuku. Guys, it's time. When they heard that, they got ready. Izuku. I need a quirk that can teleport a number of people either short or long distances. Venom. Alright, you ask and now you shall receive. Izuku's paw. I started feeling the quirk taking affect, telling the others to hold on to me. We all teleported between Bakugo and the villains, putting them shock, which gave us enough time to initiate our plan. Izuku's paw. Not wasting any time, I used my web shooters and fired it on Spinner, and not only that but used electric webs on him, making him paralyzed and unconscious. Izuku. Stay electrocuted, bitch. All Might saw what was going on and was shocked to see me and my team and trying to help, but All for One stops him. Seeing All Might fighting even though he's still injured, I had to do something but waiting for the opportunity to act. Then I dodged an attack from Shigaraki and then I broke his hand, making him scream. Shigaraki. Ah, you son of a bitch. Izuku. Like you're one to talk. And then I kicked him in the gut and webbed him on the ground. I looked and saw my friends taking down the villains with ease along with Gran Torino. Gran. Hey Vigilante. I just nodded at him while sweating bullets. After that I told then to take Bakugo and stay at a safe distance. Toga. What about you? Izuku. I'm staying. Mineta. Dude, that's nuts. If you're thinking about getting involved, you're crazy. Mei. He's right, we can't let you get hurt even more. Shinso. I agree. Izuku. I appreciate what you guys are saying, but you need to take Bakugo and get to somewhere safe. And that was when Bakugo decided to be a little bitch. Bakugo. Like hell I am leaving with you freaks. I looked at him and then looked at Mineta, who came behind Bakugo and chopped him on the neck, making him unconscious. I told them to go and they were having second thoughts about it, but I reassured them that it's going to be okay while I looked at the helicopter recording the fight while my team left with Bakugo and safe. I had to wait it out to see the outcome of the fight if I should join in or not. Shigaraki. You should have joined US. You're like USTHSE people don't respect, they hate yo. MPHHH. I had to shut his mouth with my webs. Meanwhile All For One sees what was happening, attempted to attack, but All Might intervenes by punching him while he was blocking. The tables have turned. Bakugo's been rescued and All For One sighed in frustration. All For One. It seems I can't secure a victory due to young Bakugo's rescue from that vigilante, but when he said that, my spider sense went off and venom suddenly controlled my body to avoid some sort of quirk he was using on one of the villains. Izuku. Why did you do that? Venom. Sorry, I don't know, I just had a feeling. I just looked. All For One forcing the villain's quirk magnetism to activate. This led to the Vanguard squad including Shigaraki to be magnetically pulled towards an unconscious Kurogiri's Waro gate, teleporting them away. Shigaraki. Sensei, wait, what about you? No. Shigaraki being pulled while having a slight flashback. I tried to control my body but Venom wasn't releasing it. Izuku. Let go. Venom. Izuku. Venom. He wasn't answering while I was just seeing the villains getting sucked into the gate. All For One. Keep fighting Tamura. All Might charges at All For One, but he used a transmission quirk to teleport Gran Torino in front of him, using Gran as a human shield, who took All Might's blow instead. All For One. I really hate you, All Might, taking down my comrades while you rose to the top. I tried to reason with while All For One was going to fire a blast wave. All Might pulled Gran Torino away. All Might. Detroit SMMAAAAAASSSSH. Using that move to cancel out All For One's attack. But this led to All Might pushing his limits a bit, making him spit blood and pushing him and Gran Torino back. All For One, seeing his destruction, decided to push All Might's buttons. All For One. Heroes have a lot of things they need to protect, don't they? All Might was furious, grabbed All For One's arm while throwing Gran Torino away for safety. All Might. Shut up, you always toy with people like that. You break them, steal from them, take advantage of them, AMD control them, scoffing irrationally at the people just trying to live their lives. I cannot. All For One. Oh no. Time for warping. All Might. Forgive that. And punched him in the face, breaking his mask, causing a crater, but as wasn't strong enough to finish him off. Seeing what All Might did and looking at him carefully, me and Gran Torino had the same thought. Izuku. Gran. All Might. Toshinori, you've reached your limit. All Might's face showing a bit of his true form. All For One. Oh, what's wrong, All Might? It seemed to be worked up by something. In fact, I heard those same lines before. Ha 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 ha, you really are similar to the one Nana Shimura. This made All Might have flashbacks to when he was younger and seeing his master. All Might. Do not sully the name of my honored master with that filthy mouth of yours. All For One. She was a woman with no skill whose ideals got ahead of her. She really was an embarrassment to me as the one who created One For All, and she died in a pathetic way. Where shall I start? All Might. All Might. Enough. With rage, All Might prepared to attack him, however he used a blast wave in his right arm against All Might, causing him to be blasted in the air and causing him to spit blood, and was about to hit the helicopter. I was trying to move. Izuku. For God's sake, release me, damn it. Venom. Izuku, I don't want you to get involved. If your face is revealed, everyone will see it, including your mom, and that can lead to her getting killed by villains. Izuku. Then we'll make sure to keep my face hidden, but first give me back control. I suddenly felt the feeling and told the plan. Meanwhile, Gran Torino catches All Might and lands him to safety on the ground. All Might. Teacher. All For One. Cough, you're in the way. Gran. This is the same as 6 years ago, you need to calm down. You let him escape before when you were caught up in his challenge, which made you get a hold in your stomach. That's what's hopeless about you, so don't exchange words with him. All Might. Yes. Sir. Gran. His fighting style and quirk seem completely different from last time. You won't be able to get a good hit head on, so be tricky, so go beyond your limits, it's do or die, got it? All Might. Yes. Up in the sky the news helicopter is broadcasting the battle. People all over the country including the US staff and students are watching the battle. This is leading to civilians having doubts towards the heroes, severing their trust towards them. All for one. I am a bit conflicted. The trust in heroes that Tamura steadily chipped away at. I do wonder if I should land the decisive blow, but you know, All Might, as much as you hate me I too feel the same way. I kill your master, but you too took away the things I've built up, right? All for one decided to use a blast wave at full power. Gran. It's a big one, dodge it encounter, he said while using his quirk, pushing him up in the air. All for one. Oh, is it enough to just dodge? When he said that, All Might saw a civilian who was trapped in the rubble, and I was a bit too far away and the villain might hear me. Venom. Izuku, wait a bit more. All for one. I will steal away the things you protected until now. Then he fired his blast, pushing Gran Torino and All Might, who was blocking it, but this caused him to push his power. All for one. First your self-respect you kept even with your injury. Show the world to your pathetic form, symbol of peace. All Might's true was now revealed. Everyone around the country sees it and begins panicking. I looked with narrowed eyes, remembering what he told me when we first met. My hands clenched into fist, waiting. All for one. Hollow cheeks and sunken eyes. Haha, what a pathetic top hero, but don't be embarrassed, that's your true form, the real you, isn't it? But All Might just glared at him, and All for one realized something. All for one. Oh, I see. All Might. Even if my body rots and grows weak, even if you try to expose that form, my heart will remain that of the symbol of peace. It's not something you can steal even a single piece of. All for one. Ha ha ha, wonderful, I give up. I completely forgotten how stubborn you were. Perhaps this will not hinder your heart either. When I heard this I got bad feeling about this, and what he said made me shocked to the core. All for one. You know Tamura Shigaraki is Nana Shimura's grandson. Hearing this made All Might and Gran Torino demoralized. All for one. I kept wondering what would you hate the most. I created chances for you and Tamura to meet. You defeated him, right? And smiled so proudly when you won, not even knowing a thing. All Might. No, it can't be. All for one. But it's the truth. You finally realize it, don't you, that this is something I would do? Oh, that's strange. All Might, using his hands and sarcastically remarks. All Might's smile. All Might stared to remember words from his master while shaking. All Might. You bastard. All for one. Ha ha ha, this is really fun. Maybe I was able to steal a piece, huh? Almkite. He's a relative of my master's. What have done? Unable to move, the injured civilian encourages All Might to win and help around the country. People watching refused to believe he lost, and all of them were encouraging him to win. But he did not move, filled with despair. All for one. Ha ha ha, well, it seems you're broken and now it's time to say goodbye, All Might. He used a quirk to suddenly launch sharp-like appendages towards All Might at a fast pace. Gran shouting at him to move, the civilian and everyone watching shouted at All Might, but he didn't move. All Might. I guess this it, huh? The appendages made their mark, blood spilled, but it didn't hit All Might. Instead it was me, blood on my suit, and this left the people shocked to find me the vigilante there. And this made All for one surprised as well. All for one. Well, this is a surprise. I just looked at him, removing my mask, sending one for all in my throat, and let out screech, pushing him back and removing the appendages in my body. Izuku. Gah, man, that hurt like a bitch. I looked at All Might, seeing him shocked to look at me, revealing my face to the country, putting them in shock. All Might. Why? Young Midoriya. Izuku. In flesh and bone. I walked towards him and rested my hand on his shoulder. Izuku. There's a lot of thing a hero needs to protect All Might. Using venom to slither towards All Might's injury, not only healing his wound but also giving him a stomach. This made him look at me. Izuku. It's the least I can do, knowing you're running on fumes of one for all. I'll help you, and I'm not taking no for an answer. All Might looked at me, seeing determination in my eyes. He smiled and got into his hero form. All Might. Haha, thanks for that, young Midoriya, and to you, miss, I'll do what I can, and that is to not lose. All Might activating one for all around his body, causing yellow arcs around his body. All for One, seeing both me and All Might, put a bitter taste in his mouth and was ready to fire a wave blast, but Flames strikes at him, but he uses his blast wave to swat away the flames with ease. Endeavor was the one who fired the flames, and seeing me with All Might, Endeavor along with Edgeshot and Kamui Woods came to the battlefield after defeating the dozens of Nomus at the League of Villains hideout. All for One is surprised that the dozens of Nomus he sent were dispatched with haste, even though they were mediocre and should not have taken Endeavor's number 2 rank so lightly. Endeavor was infuriated at All Might's appearance and begins remembering that he devoted most of his life to surpass him, but eventually realized that the gap between them was far too great and began to fear yet begrudgingly respect All Might's muscular form. Seeing me, he was shocked to see my face, knowing I was the behind the mask that I can take him down, putting him in a state of fear. Annoyed with Endeavor and the other pro heroes' interference, All for One prepares his blast wave attack again. However, Edgeshot uses his quirk and great speed to attack, but All for One dodges the attack. As Edgeshot and Endeavor attack All for One, Kamui Woods rescues MT Lady, Best Jeanist and Gang Orca. Meanwhile, Tiger rescues the trapped civilian using his quirk. Tiger tells All Might that they are helping lightening his burden and asks him to defeat All for One because everyone is wishing for his victory, and no matter what he looks like, he is still everyone's #1 hero. Tiger's encouragement causes Gran Torino remember the past where he chatted with his old friend, Nana Shimura, who explained to him that Toshinori believed the crime did not fall because the people did not have any pillar or symbol to put their faith in. Growing tired with the sentimental talk, All for One blasts Endeavor and Edgeshot back. All for One. Spring-like limbs, kinetic booster ×4, strength enhancer ×3, multiplier, hypertrophy, rivets, airwalk and spear-like bones. Activating innumerable amount of his strongest quirks in his right arm, causing it to become an enlarged mutated arm filled with numerous deadly screws and hardened minerals. This made me, Venom, and everyone to see what he became. Izuku, Venom. Son of bitch, he's on fucking steroids. All for One. The shockwaves until now were just to wear you out, not kill you, All Might, but in order to not only kill you but your successor, I will punch both of you with the ultimate combination of quirks that I have right now. It's time to ends for the both of you. Izuku. Let's go, All Might. All Might. Yeah, young Midoriya. Both me and All Might got ready using his right arm while I use my left. All for One starts charging at us and the three of us clashed, and this caused a huge shockwave that devastates a great portion of the city. As they struggle. All for One. Impact nullification. This resulted both me and All Might getting our arms damaged and blood spurting out, and this caused us to be pushed back and me not having it using Venom's ability. Izuku. Shock absorption plus strength enhancement ×5. This made both me and All Might stop in our tracks. Izuku. You better still have a bit flames in you, old man. All Might. Laughs. I should say the same to you, young man. The both of us looking at the villain, All Might remembering his master's teachings while I'm remembering the things I've done up to this point. All for One. For the two of you to resist so much and to think you young man have the same abilities as me. The two of us standing our ground, we evaded his fist and both me and All Might punched him on both sides of his face with our opposite arms. But those punches were meant to distract him. All for One. Little tricks like that aren't like you, All Might, including you young man. Someone influenced the toe of you and that's weak. The two of us dodged in time. All Might left arm was in steam. This made All for One look, and that gave both me and All Might the win. Izuku. All Might. That's because we didn't put our backs into it. Izuku. Ready, All Might. All Might. Yeah, both me and All Might transferred one for all in our left, mine, and right, his arm. All Might. Farewell, All for One. Both of us punched All for One in the face with the two us screaming out loud. Izuku. All Might. Double United Sta Ots Oof SMAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA dispersed everywhere. All Might. Farewell, one for all. With last flame gone, one for all was no more in All Might's body. All for one, now unconscious. All Might raises his arm to signify his victory. The reporter from the news helicopter announces All Might's victory causes the citizens watching to start celebrating. Deadshot wants All Might to preserve his strength, but Gran Torino stops him as he wants All Might to enact his dream of being the symbol of peace for one last time. With the battle over, the pro-heroes begin carrying out rescue operations to save people who were trapped under the rubble due to the battle. Meanwhile, Endeavor, All Might and I watched All for One being placed in the Iron Maiden. Now All for One is properly imprisoned. I looked towards All Might, walking to him, and the reporters seeing me without my mask and everyone watching it. Izuku. So I guess this is it, huh? All Might. Finding out you were the vigilante put me in shock, but putting his fist to my chest and seeing him smiling. All Might. Show them what it means to be a hero. I smiled at him and seeing the sun shining. Izuku. Well, guess this is where we part ways for now. I looked at him and using a telepathic quirk telling him to meet me at the Dagoba Municipal Beach. Spidey. When I heard that, I looked and saw my team with Bakugo still unconscious. Mineta got on the ground and passed him to All Might. After that, both me and Mineta jumped in the air, Toga catching him while I used my webs and it landed on May's suit. Full team, and we left, leaving the heroes shocked that they didn't stop us, but All Might told them not to. He was smiling. All Might. Next is your turn, young Midoriya. With my team, Venom suddenly showed his face. Venom. Well, Izuku, there's some good news and bad news. Izuku. Okay, what's the good news? Venom. The good news is that you did awesome with the battle. But the bad news, everyone's seen your face. Pros might come after you, including villains, and you might get expelled from school. Izuku. Well, shit. Venom. Also your mom. Izuku. Shinso. Izuku. The others looked at me and I just took a deep breath in, and then out I opened my mouth, and then Izuku. Fuck. Nobody's pav. With the end of All for One and the reveal of All Might's true form, but thanks to Izuku he's not skeleton-like, but without One for All he's back into being quirkless and retired. At the police headquarters, the police officials discuss the events that have transpired. They have learned nothing new from the Nomus they captured except how they are possibly manufactured. The League of Villains ringleader, All for One, is imprisoned and All Might will no longer be able to fight. One of the police officials believes these events to be a victory. However, another says that they have lost their symbol of peace, which will inspire villainy to rise once more, and as a result, there is no victory. The police official comments that All for One's imprisonment will only further motivate Tamura Shigaraki to grow and become even stronger. Another police official concludes that they have relied on the symbol of peace, All Might, too much, which has led to these unfortunate circumstances. The police official states that the police force can no longer be on the sidelines by retrieving villains and must reform their policies so that they can take a more active role against villains and maybe putting a stop against Spider-Man and his team of vigilantes. Seeing how they helped out but did it without a license means they have to do something about it. At a hospital we see All Might, who is bandaged and recovering from the fight but is eating, enjoying the meal and glad that he has his stomach, thanking Izuku when they meet soon. Naomasa. I still can't believe Shigaraki is your master's grandson. Gran intervenes saying Nana Shimura and her husband had a child, but after her husband's death due to heroics, Nana sent her son to a foster family so he can stay away from heroics, meaning she also told him and Toshinori to not get involved with her son. To me that was mistake to her part, I'm just saying. Toshinori. I need to look for him. Gran. Toshinori, no matter how you see it, Tamura is a villain and you are in no position to look for him. Me and Naomasa will handle the search for Shigaraki while you remain in Ua and carry out your role, and that's helping your vigilante student. When Toshinori heard that, he smiled and nodded. Meanwhile we see Team Venomised in the air enjoying the breeze while landing on a rooftop. Izuku. Sigh, well, guess we part ways, guys, see you all soon. Mineta. Yeah, until then. Shinso. Yeah, hope your mom doesn't ground you. He said with a smirk, making the others laugh while Izuku had a tick mark on his head. Izuku. Well, I'll see you guys later, we should go, Toga. And Izuku waved goodbye and jumped off the roof, and web singed away along with Toga. Meanwhile we see Shuyo in her home watching what took place along with her sister, who was shocked. Fuyumi. Wow, who knew Spider-Man was your classmate? Shuyo nodded and then looked at her sister while saying how she had a crush on him, which made her sister blush. After that Shuyo walks by the training room, finding out her father got home not too long, wondered if he will take the #1 spot, but she only found that the room was nearly in shambles due to Endeavor's rage, who was refusing to accept the position of #1 hero. Meanwhile we see Izuku and Toga swinging towards their home and seeing the lights on, knew they have some explaining to do. Once they got to the door and got their suits off, they opened the door to Inko and she was not happy. Inko. Izuku, Midoriya, Himiko, Toga, you two better explain to me, how are you vigilantes? The two of them were sweating, but they were saved thanks to Venom revealing himself. Venom. I believe I can explain the situation involving your son and Toga, Mrs. Midoriya. Inko was a bit shocked to see Venom, but after hearing his story and how him and Izuku have done as Spider-Man but making sure not to reveal the other team's identity, she understood and hugged the two of them while crying. Inko. Sniff, after hearing what you've gone through without me knowing, I'm so glad to have you as my son. Izuku and Toga. I'm glad my son saved you and changed to someone better. Izuku and Toga smiled, hugged back Inko, glad that she understood, and Izuku was thanking Venom, which he just said it's the least he can do. After that the three decided to enjoy themselves by eating some food, but then Izuku's phone started to ring, and when he looked it was message from All Might, and remember what he was supposed to do. He told his mom and Toga he needs to go. The two of them nodded in understanding, and Izuku opened the door and jumped off the building. Izuku. V suit up. Venom. Copy. Time skip. At the Dagoba Municipal Beach we see All Might, who looks healthy as ever. Looking at the waves, enjoying the sound until he heard his name. Hey Toshinori. When looked he saw Izuku in his spider suit swinging towards him, and when he landed he removed his mask. Izuku. Hey, Toshinori. Hey, it's good to see you, young Midoriya. Izuku. Yeah, and I see your injuries are healed and you look much younger. Toshinori. Chuckles, it was thanks to you that I look this way, and I want to say thanks for helping me fight against my nemesis. Izuku scratched the back of his head while smiling. Izuku. It was nothing, I knew you needed help and I knew I couldn't let my team be involved, otherwise who know what will happen. Izuku looked at the waves, mesmerized by it. Izuku. You don't have your quirk anymore and you're retiring. Toshinori. Yeah, seems like it, but I will still be teaching at UA, so you'll get to see me more often. Izuku didn't say anything until he felt Toshinori's hand on top of his head. And what he heard made him tear up. Toshinori. Young Midoriya, you've shown others who think being quirkless means weakness, and you have proved others wrong, and to me as well, but not only that, you made your goal to save the innocent people with your power, and that's the essence of a true hero. This made Izuku cry, remembering the hardships, his friends and the ones that love him. Up till now he felt a weight suddenly removed from his chest. Izuku. Gee, thanks sensei. Izuku was happy, but then his spider sense went off and he looked at Toshinori. Izuku. Sorry Izu. He didn't get to finish since Toshinori smiled at him, knowing what's going on. Toshinori. Go, the people need you, Spider-Man. Izuku smiled and nodded and ran. Izuku. Up till now with that powers I would be alone, but with my friends by my side I know no matter what life has in store for these words I will never forget. With great power comes great responsibility. This is our power and our course. Who are we? We're Spider-Man. Venom. And we are Venom. Getting his mask on, he web-slinged up in the air in the night sky, swinging from building to building, stopping criminals left and right and civilians cheering for him. He then swung himself up towards a building and landing on the side, observing. Izuku. I'll do everything to protect the ones in need. And then he swung again. Meanwhile, on top of a building we see a figure clad in black watching a video of the Battle of All Might, Izuku and All for One. Meow. Izuku, Midoriya, I hope we see each other real soon. This person was Black Cat and she has her eyes on our spider-themed vigilante. Meanwhile in the airport, we see Melissa Shield now leaving the plane and also looking at the video of the battle. Melissa. Izuku, we see each other soon. She smiled while holding her amulet, which was glowing. Meanwhile, we see Izuku at home in his bed with a naked Toga on top of him who was pinning him down. Toga. Izu, it's time for your virginity to be mine. Izuku. He didn't say anything since he suddenly felt a chill go down his spine and getting a lot of notifications on both of his phones from the girls. He just sighed, got out of Toga's grip and putting him on top of her. Izuku. If you wanted my virginity you should have asked. Venom. Yes, finally it has come, your fucking innocence will be now tainted, bitch, ha 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 ha. Ignoring that, Izuku and Toga had a heated session without waking up Inko and enjoying it until morning. We see Overhaul frustrated with his plans not going his way. Overhaul. Damn you, if I can't have her then you all will die. Taking out what appears to be a bullet with a wrist blood, he injected it in his body to amplify his quirken body, but he used to destroy himself in a large-scale mass. Izuku saw this, and what happened made him about to puke, seeing Overhaul suddenly looking like giant balloon, like it had sex and couldn't release its undignified load. Izuku saw this, didn't think twice, got in front of him, making the others shout out to him to come back. Overhaul looked down and laughed. Overhaul. Ha ha ha, well, it looks like you'll be the fur. He didn't get to finish. Izuku suddenly punched him in the gut. Izuku. Now look here what I'm about to do. Izuku pushed him up in the air above his head while forming some sort of giant cannon with both of his arms. Izuku. I am going blow all my load all over your insides. This made Overhaul look at him in shock. Overhaul. Wah. Then Izuku just gave him a vicious smirk. Izuku. No homo hasta la vista ccccch. And Izuku fired, launching Overhaul up in the air so far making him scream in pain, feeling himself about to blow. Overhaul. Ag hhhhhhh, curse you. And Overhaul in a dramatic way got blown up, causing the clouds to separate. Izuku just sighed, deactivated his weapon, looked up in the and stick out his middle finger. Izuku. Karma's a bitch, asshole. Nobody's pav. In an apartment we see Izuku and Toga in bed fully naked enjoying their sleep while Venom, who was crying tears of joy. Venom. I'm so happy that Izuku finally lost his virginity, it was about goddamn time. It didn't take long for Izuku to wake up, leaving Toga in bed, who was hugging the pillow, making him smile and kissing her on the forehead. After refreshing himself, he went to the kitchen to his mom. Izuku. Morning, Mom. Inko. Morning, Izuku, hope you slept well. Izuku. Yeah, I slept great. Venom. Sure you did. Izuku just ignored him and went to eat some breakfast. After enjoying it and washing up, he decided to turn on the TV, and when it was on, he saw on the news villains fighting. He looked at his mom and she nodded, making him smile, and gave her hug. Izuku. I'll be safe, Mom, okay? He didn't get to hear her since he opened the door and jumped off of the apartment. Izuku. V, suit up. Venom. Copy. Getting his suit on, he web-slinged to the location. After that, it didn't took long for him to finish while getting cheers from the people. When Izuku started swinging, he looked towards the large billboard. Seeing crime rate increases made him narrow his eyes, but seeing the heroes taking action made him sigh in relief. Izuku thought about seeing the girls a bit but shook his head about that. Meanwhile, the hero billboard chart JP, a chart that tabulates the rankings of pro heroes in Japan twice per year, announces the headlines. All Might's true form has had Japan and even the hero headquarters in America in an uproar. All Might's retirement has also contributed to this uproar. Best Jeanist, the number 4 hero, survived the Camino Ward incident and is taking a rest from his duties as a hero for an extended amount of time. Meanwhile, the number 32 hero Ragdoll, whose quirk was stolen, reported by the hero billboard chart as an abnormal change, has become unfit for duty, and thus her pro-hero career has been put on hold indefinitely. At UA, Principal Nedzu thanks All Might for his victory against All for One along with Spider-Man, as many lives were saved thanks to his intervention. Even though All Might will be continuing as a teacher, Principal Nedzu points out that since All Might is no longer able to fight, the parents of the UA students, as well as society, are anxious and worried about the safety of the children. Principal Nedzu reiterates that they must instill faith and confidence in heroes. Blood King agrees with Mr. Principal and vows to nurture, raise and protect the students more strongly than before. Principal Nedzu decides that now is the time to implement a plan he had in mind for quite some time. Principal Nedzu and Blood King will visit the parents of Class 1B, while Aizawa and All Might will visit the parents of Class 1A as part of the plan. The plan Principal Nedzu wants to implement is the transition of UA to a boarding school. However, he thinks that with Midoriya, who is the spider vigilante, he wonders what to do. Meanwhile, we see Izuku swinging towards a hospital. Reason is to see Shoyo's mom. It didn't take long for him to get there, and being able to see which room she is in, he landed on the wall close to the window and looking in to see not only her Shuyo and what looked like her sister. Izuku, who used his phone to call Shoyo's phone. Meanwhile, Shuyo was talking to her mom about her school life. Her mom, seeing her daughter happy, put a smile on her face. Just then Shoyo's phone started ringing. Shuyo. Hello. Izuku. Hey Shuyo. Shuyo. Izuku, is there a reason for this call? Izuku. Look out the window. And he hang up the phone leaving her confused. Rei. Shuyo, who was that? Shuyo. It was a friend. She decided to go to the window and what she saw made her jump a bit to see Izuku in his spider suit who got inside and landed on the ceiling. Izuku. Hey Shuyo, sorry about that. Shuyo just nodded, but her mom and sister were shocked to find Spider-Man here, but seeing the person's face without the mask made it more shocking. Fuyumi was blushing to find Izuku here while her mom was showing a surprised look. Rei. So you must be my daughter's friend. Izuku got off the ceiling and smiled. Izuku. Yeah, that's right, I'm your daughter's friend, I'm Izuku Midoriya, it's nice to meet you. Rei smiled at that and shook Izuku's hand. Rei. It's nice to meet you, I'm very grateful to see someone who is friends with my little Shuyo, but can you promise me something? Izuku looked at her. Rei. Promise me that you will protect her. Izuku smiled at that. Izuku. I promise to do whatever it takes to protect her. Izuku smiled to see Rei nodded, and he then looked at Fuyumi, who was blushing when he looked at her. Izuku walked towards her while Rei and Shuyo were smiling. Izuku. You must be Shoyo's sister, right? It's nice to meet you. She only shook his hand and nodded, not finding the words to respond. Izuku found that confusing and Venom wasn't helping at all with his laughter. Izuku. Well, anyways, it was nice to meet you too, but I have to go. Izuku went to the window and about to go when Shuyo decided to kiss him on the lips. Shuyo. Something to remember me, okay? Izuku just nodded, put his masks on and jumped out of the window swinging, leaving Shuyo blushing, Rei smiling and Fuyumi gushing about what happened just now while blushing. Meanwhile we see Aizawa and All Might visit Kyoka Jiro's house. Inside, Mr. Jiro is concerned about his daughter being put in harm's way under Yue's supervision and isn't too fond of sending his daughter to Yue's dormitories. Aizawa admits that Yue has been negligent in their duties and vows to correct them as well as raise Kyoka into a fine hero. Kyoka, who has recovered, tells Shota that her dad has already agreed to the relocation of the students after seeing All Might's fight with All for One, happy that his daughter will grow into a powerful hero like All Might. Aizawa and All Might left and travel by car. Shota is surprised that he wasn't given a reprimanding or any harsh criticism. The next home Shota and All Might visit is the home of Katsuki Bakugo. Inside the Bakugo household, Katsuki's mother agrees to the UA student's relocation, being more than happy to send her son away while hitting him. Katsuki. You hag hit me again and I'll kill you. His mom hit him again. Mitsuki. Oh hush, if you weren't so goddamn weak you never would got caught and caused all that trouble. The two of them began arguing with each other while Katsuki's father tries to calm them down. Toshinori was thinking what a family dynamic. After calming down, Katsuki's mother notes that Katsuki's rashness along with his gifted abilities has resulted in him being pampered and getting shallow praise for what he has, which has resulted in his arrogant nature. However, Katsuki's mother is happy that Shota sees her son for who he is instead of his gifted abilities. Mitsuki. I would like to thank you for bringing our son safe, and we agree for letting him join the dormitory and make him a fine hero. Before Aizawa and Toshinori left, Mitsuki. Oh, and one more thing, tell Izuku I'm grateful for what he did. Toshinori smiled at that, but when he looked at Aizawa his face looked troubled. As Aizawa and Toshinori were about to leave, Katsuki called out to Toshinori. Katsuki. I want to know what is Deku to you. The only thing Toshinori can say is that Izuku is his student who has potential like Bakugo. Katsuki only nodded and thanked Toshinori and goes back inside. Time skip. We see Toshinori at the place where Izuku lives when he knocked on the door, and when it opened he couldn't help but feel his heart beating when he looked at Izuku's mom. Inko. Oh, you must be All Might. Toshinori. You. Oh, why? Yes, that's right. She gave him a smile making him blush. Inko. Would you like to come in? I made some cookies. Toshinori. Yes, of course. It didn't take long for Toshinori to come in, sit down and enjoying a taste of homemade cookies. Inko. I would like to say I thank and the other heroes for doing what you did. Toshinori. It was nothing, we were doing what we can. Inko. I know that. My son might get in trouble for doing what he did, but... Toshinori. You don't need to worry, from what I've seen he's showed what a hero truly is. Speaking of him, where is he? Inko looked at him then looked to left. Inko. Wheel. Meanwhile with Izuku, He see him stopping a crane using his webs. Izuku. My life keeps getting weirder. Venom. You get used to it. Meanwhile with Inko and Toshinori. Inko. He's doing work. Toshinori. By work you mean being a vigilante. Inko didn't say anything, instead turned on the TV to show news about Izuku stopping a crane. Toshinori. Wow, he's really something, huh? Inko smiled at that. Inko. From what you've told me about the dormitory system, I would very much like him to go. Toshinori. I appreciate it. Inko. But will the teachers or the principal do something to Izuku? Toshinori thought about that the teachers may do something and want Izuku to get suspended or worse, however. Toshinori. Don't worry, I'll make sure that doesn't happen. He said with a smile on his, leaving Inko to smile back. After giving each other their goodbyes, Toshinori left while Inko was getting teased by Toga, who decided to stay hidden about B and Toshinori being lovey-dovey. Meanwhile with Izuku, after stopping the crane in time, we see him chasing someone, and that someone is a female clad in white wearing a mask that lets her blonde hair flowing in a ponytail. Izuku. Hey, can you stop running? I just want to talk. There's nothing to talk about, stop following me. Izuku didn't listen, instead shot a web at her feet. When she jumped, grabbed her in time and stopped her. Izuku. Now can we talk? Venom. Dude, you can't just do that to a female and ask that kind of question. Izuku ignored that and looked at her, who got out of the web and used her claws to attack, which made Izuku dodged. The name's White Tigress, little spider. Izuku dodged another one of her claws but not her kick, which pushed him back. Izuku. Okay, first of all, my little spider isn't that small if you want to look at him. He wiggled his eyes while in his mind was arguing with Venom. White Tigress looked at him because of that comment and looked at his package, then shook her head and decided to pin him down. The reason because Izuku wasn't paying attention at the time. He looked up to see Tigress' face close to his. White Tigress. We'll have our little chat soon, okay, Spidey? She pulled up his mask and gave him a kiss full on the lips. And left, leaving Izuku on the ground with his mask completely off, showing his blushing face. Izuku. Sigh, it's bad enough I have one feline having an interest towards me, now I have to deal with another. Great. Venom. Hey, come now, at least you'll have a lot of fun. Izuku. Don't start sighing while scratching his hair, let's just go home, seems like there's not any criminal activity at the moment and the others won't be able to help. Getting his mask on, he jumped and swung towards home. Nobody's paw. In UA we see Izuku Midoriya sitting along with Principal Nezu, All Might and the other teachers. Izuku is seen with quirk cancelling handcuffs and is having an emotionless face towards the principal. Nezu. Do you know why you are here, Mr. Midoriya? Izuku. Let's see, I get a call from All Might saying you needed to speak with me, and then coming school the teachers suddenly surrounded me and putting these cuffs on my wrist. Well, I would have to guess this involves with me being a vigilante, right? Nezu. Yeah, you're correct. Izuku just looked at the teachers and being a bit flirty. Izuku. I hope I rock your world, Nimori-chan. This actually caused the R-rated hero to blush up a storm and making Toshinori and Nezu to smile. Nezu. Now let's get down to business now, Mr. Midoriya, you have done this spider routine before coming to UA. Saving people for the greater good is nice, however I want to know something. Izuku looked at him with confusion. Nezu. What is your true intention for this? Izuku. My true intention, well, I was doing this to help others, and by going to the general course I would be able to do my vigilante life easier, but after the USJ incident along with the sports festival I'm not so sure anymore. Nezu smiled at that, and so this Toshinori. Nezu. I see, given that you've grown close to your friends in UA changed you, and I'm very grateful for what you did as Spider-Man. Izuku just nodded. Izuku. So what now, am I going to be expelled? Nezu. Given to how you did a lot and don't have a hero license. Izuku. Which is bullshit. Nezu laughed a bit. Nezu. You would have gone to jail, but I will make an exception. The teachers were shocked to hear that. Aizawa. Principal, are you serious? Nezu looked at them, given on how his face looks innocent he is really serious. Nezu. I am this young man has done good for the people, saving the lives of others including All Mights. If that isn't enough, I would glad to see what he will do as both a hero and vigilante. Izuku smiled at that when Nezu released him from his cuffs. Both him and Nezu shook hands. Izuku. I really appreciate that, sir. Nedzu. Think nothing of it. The teachers just sighed, but on the inside they were grateful, including Aizawa. Nedzu then got back in his seat and told the teachers they can leave now, which they did, leaving him, Izuku and Toshinori in the office. Nedzu. Well, now that is taken care of, Midoriya, we would like for you to assist someone who will be joining the school. Izuku. I mean, sure, but who is this person? Both the principal and Toshinori smiled a bit at that, leaving Izuku and Venom confused. Nedzu. Well, this person is someone who you know and decided to attend to the support class but will be joining the new dormitories soon. Izuku was about to say something, but when the door opened he looked and was shocked to see Izuku. Melissa. Venom. Haha, sexy blonde is here, get ready for another course of steamy sex. Izuku. V not helping. Melissa looked at him and smiled while walking towards him and giving him a hug. Melissa. It's nice to see you again, Izuku, or should I say Spider-Man. Izuku just groaned at that but smiled at her. Izuku. It's good to see you again, and it seems you're the one the principal was talking about. Nedzu smiled. Toshinori. That's right, young Midoriya, Melissa will be in your care when school starts. Izuku nodded at that. Time skip. After that conversation and seeing Melissa again, we see Izuku walking while wearing a hoodie to conceal his face hole, thinking of something. Venom. Something going on, partner. Izuku. Sigh, yeah, that villain with the scars on his face and arms, the one with blue flame quirk. Venom. Yeah, the one who gave us those serious burns, what about him? Izuku. I have this strange feeling that he's a relative to Shuyo. Venom. Well, if that's the case, then we need to find this guy, cause to me this can make your ice fire flower happy. Izuku. Yeah, you're right on that. Izuku made sure no one saw him. Izuku. V suit up. Venom. Copy. Getting his suit on, he started using his web swing up in the air and using a wind quirk to keep him airborne. Focusing on his sight, finding just a small glimpse of blue-like smoke not far from where he is. Using the wind to propel himself towards the location. Meanwhile, in an alleyway we see the scarred villain burning low-down criminals. Dabi. Sigh, so much for recruiting. Just as Dabi was about to leave, he heard a sound and using his flames to fire at the perpetrator. Dabi. Who's there? He didn't hear a response, instead a web shooting at him, which he dodged in time. He looked around trying to find the person. Hey, Scarface. And then he looked up to see Izuku fully suited in his spider-themed costume sticking to the walls. Dabi. So what are you here for, to take me in? Izuku. Tempting, but no, I just want to talk with you. Dabi, for one thing, was suspicious about him. Finding out he was a kid being a vigilante was surprising. Dabi. You know I could just burn you right now. Izuku. So why didn't you? Dabi. Just curious on what you want to talk about. Izuku looked at him and then jumped off the wall and landed close to Dabi. Izuku. Is there a reason why you became a villain? Dabi. Is that what you want to know, or there's a catch? Izuku. Yeah, well, just out of curiosity. Izuku walked closer to Dabi. Izuku. You're Shoyo's older brother, aren't you? Now this made Dabi freeze up, and Izuku saw his shocked face, knew it. Venom. Damn, this is fucked up. Izuku. Yeah, no kidding. Dabi just sighed at that. Dabi. If so, what are you going to do? He got ready to use his quirk but stopped when Izuku said this, with his mask off showing his face. Izuku. I won't do anything, but know this, your family misses you. Just from a look in their minds, they do miss you dearly. Dabi just narrowed his eyes. Dabi. Even if you say that, and I do appreciate that, but I can't, because that man is still there. He tightened his fist showing his anger. Dabi. I can't forgive him, I just can't. Izuku. You don't have to. Dabi must sighed. Izuku walked to him and put his hand on his shoulder, letting Venom surround him, making him a bit defensive until it was over. Dabi. What did you do? He didn't get an answer, instead a Ove-like mirror in front of him, making look at himself to see no scars. Dabi. W. Wa. Izuku. Consider this a gift because of your lil sis. Removing the mirror, Izuku patted on Dabi's shoulder. Izuku. Even though you're a villain, I know your true intentions for this, and they're very heroic. Izuku got his mask on and gave him an salute. Izuku. Until we meet again, Toya. And he slingshot himself up the air, leaving Toya to just chuckle. Toya, you're really something, Izuku Midoriya. Seeing a portal behind him, he walked towards it and thinking about his family making him show a true smile. Toya, I see your guys really soon, I promise. And got in the portal. Nobody's paw. We see Izuku up on a building upside down while on his phone talking to the girls in 1A and Asuka from 1B. He was smiling while V was getting a bit bored, so while Izuku was not paying attention he decided to use sonar just in case if there's any activity going on, and to his luck there were, so controlling Izuku's legs made him jump off the building. Izuku. V, what's up? Venom. We got some activity to do. Just hearing that, he knew what was going on, so he didn't question his friend after. While swinging to the destination he stuck to the walls to see about 5 low-time villains, but Izuku didn't care about that. What he did care was the person who took them down, and the only thing that's on his mind. Izuku. Oh damn, she's hot and I don't care if she's older than me. Venom. You already have at least 2 girls older than you who seems to have feelings for you, but you're not wrong, she does look delicious. What the two are seeing is this. Izuku used his webs and got down whole GL dung it upside down. Izuku. Well, now I'm impressed. The girl then looked up to see him and she was shocked. Oh wow, you're Spider-Man. Izuku. That's right, so how about I know the name for a pretty girl like you? This made her blush. The name's Pop Step, she said while doing a pose. Izuku the bee landed close to her, put his hand over her waist and making her come closer to him. Pop. You. Awa. She didn't get to say, instead she saw him used his webs to slingshot the two of them up in the air. This made her scream a bit while Izuku was swinging building to building, reason cause he called the police beforehand towards his location. After that we see them landed on top of a building. Izuku. Well, you okay? Pop. Yeah, just fine. She then looked at me, removed my mask to see my face. Pop. It's surprising to know Spider-Man is a teenager, huh? Izuku chuckled. Izuku. Well, it is what it is. She smiled at that and decided to do something. She came close to him. Izuku. Hey wa, MPH. The only thing happening was him getting kissed from her. When it was over she smiled at his dumbfounded face. Pop gave him a piece of paper which had her phone number. Pop. I'll call you soon, maybe we'll do a duet soon, until then bye Spider-Boy. And she then left, leaving Izuku there with Venom showing himself. Izuku. Venom. Yeah dude. Izuku. When I get home I'm fucking toga crazy, so make sure the doors are locked and having the room soundproofed, got it? Izuku didn't listen to Venom since he jumped off the building going home. Nobody's paw. It was time to go back to school and we see Izuku preparing to leave home, waving his mom goodbye and getting a goodbye kiss from Himiko. He left. While on the way multiple people have been cheering for him for his deeds as Spider-Man, which made him smile. Izuku and the rest of 1A arrived at their new accommodations. The dormitories that are inside the UA High School campus and only a 5-minute walk from the school building. These dormitories were built in a matter of 3 days. Inside the UA school building, Principal Nedzu overlooks the Heights Alliance. He comments that the conversion to a boarding school was not only to keep the students safe but to keep an eye on the supposed traitor in their ranks. He feels guilty for doubting his colleagues and students, but his top priority is to protect the students. Nedzu decides that UA must direct its students to a hopeful and brighter future now that is no longer the symbol of peace. While that was happening, Class 1A are at their dormitory. Before he explains about their dormitory, Aizawa tells Class 1A that at the training camp they were supposed to get their provisional hero licenses, but due to the attack they did not. Aizawa. Now Midoriya. Everyone looked at Izuku, who was looking at Aizawa. Aizawa. You broke the law for using your quirk, and not only that but going so far as to rescue Bakugo with your vigilante team. This made Mineta cringe a bit while nobody noticed except for Izuku. Aizawa. But the worst thing is you fighting the most powerful villain that's equal to All Might. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Izuku. Even so, what I did was the fight thing. I didn't really care about this law cause I will do it again to save the innocent. Hearing this made most of the girls blush at his honesty, and Aizawa was smiling at that on the inside. Aizawa. Everyone except Bakugo, Hagakure and Yuri knew about your rescue mission. If it weren't for All Might's retirement and you being a great help, you've been expelled, but let's forget about that and move on. He starts walking, leaving the class to feel gloomy. Izuku saw this and thought of something. Izuku. Hey Kaminari, come here for a sec. Grabbing Kaminari by the shoulder and pulling him, this made the others question what Izuku was about to do. Kaminari. What do you need, dude? Oh god no. This kinda spooked them until they saw Kaminari with his face stupefied. This made the others laugh. Zero. Dude, what did Midoriya do to you? Trying to hold in his laughter, which didn't help. Izuku saw the gloomy mood vanish, which made him smile, but then looked towards Bakugo walking to the building. After that, Aizawa explains that their dorm is separated by gender, the right wing for females and left wing for males. However, the first floor is common space and contains the dining area, baths, and laundry facilities. Class 1A take a look at their new dorm and become excited about living here. Aizawa then explains that their bedrooms are on floors 2, 3, 4 and 5. Every student gets their own private bedroom, with each room having an AC unit, bathroom, refrigerator and closet. He gives Class 1A a map of their room allocations and says that their luggage has already been sent into their allocated rooms, ending his explanation by telling Class 1A to spend the rest of the day unpacking and organizing their rooms. Tomorrow, he will explain the operations of their new lifestyle. After unpacking their things, some of them were at the common room relaxing, mainly the boys. Izuku was meditating a bit along with Mineta. Mina. Hey guys. She said it with excitement. She along with the girls came down the common room, making the guys look at her except for Izuku and Mineta. Mina. Me and girls thought about having a room showcased competition. Some of the guys didn't mind, but Izuku suddenly got up, making them look at him. Izuku. Not happening. He then used his webs to swing towards his room, making the others follow him quickly. Izuku was then seen about to open his door, but somehow his classmates made it, pushed him out and got in to see his room. Izuku. Damn it. What they saw were a bunch of posters of some heroes, including books of all kinds, etc. Sorry about this, I'm just tired, so bear with me. The girls were just patting Izuku on the back, telling him his room was great, including the guys except Bakugo, who left before the competition started and went to his room. Next was Tokiyami's room, which was dark and grisly, surrounded by horror-related items. Next was Aoyama rooms, a complete contrast to Fumikage's, being bright and sparkly. The next was Mineta's room. The girls were still complexed about him since he used to be perverted, but now he basically hangs out with Izuku from time to time and trains, so they all went in to see a room in the color purple with weapons hanging on his walls. Izuku. Hey Mineta, what's with the weapons? The only thing Mineta said. Mineta. For protection. That's all he said, making the others a bit freaked out except for Izuku, who sighed along with Venom. On the third floor, the rooms of Mashirao Ojiro, Tenyot, though he has an excessive array of glasses and books, Denki, and Koji Koda are more normal, unlike the themed rooms of the second floor. With all boys' rooms looked at, Denki, Mashirao, Fumikage, Yuga, and Minoru are unsatisfied with only having the male rooms evaluated, with Minoru saying that they must also evaluate the rooms of the females to be fair in order to determine a winner. Mina agrees to have the female rooms evaluated. Thus, the contest to decide the room with the best taste has now begun. Class 1A continues the room with the best taste contest, with the winner receiving the Room King Award and thus title of Room King. On the fourth floor, so Class 1A decides to check Eijiro's room and the other rooms. Eijiro's room is filled with manly items and Mezzo Shoji's room has a minimalist theme. On the fifth floor, Honta's room is Asian themed. The next room is Sato's room, which is normal. However, Rikido remembers that he was baking a cake, a hobby of his, and shares the cake with his classmates, much to the delight of the girls. All of the males' rooms have been checked, and now the time to check the females' rooms has come. The first room to be checked is Kyoka's. Her room is rock themed. Next, Toru's room was normal, Mina's room was filled with cute items, and Ochako's room was also normal, with Ochako considering it to be dull. The next room to be checked was Suyu's, but Ochako says that she is feeling under the weather, so Class 1A decide to check Momo's room. Momo's room has a large luxurious bed taking up most of the room space. And finally was Shoyo's room. Once in there it looked like a traditional Japanese-style room. Izuku. Whoa, how did you get this in for one day? Izuku like it her same for the others. Shuyo. With hard work. This made Izuku sweat drop. Back in the common space on the first floor, the votes are tallied and the Room King Award goes to Rikido, much to his surprise. Rikido received his votes from the girls because his cake was delicious, which makes Denki accuse Rikido of bribing. Izuku just laughed at that, but he had to stop when Ochako came towards him and told him Suyu wanted to talk to him outside. When he got outside he saw her. Izuku. Hey Suyu, you wanted to see me. She then looked at him like it was if she was about to cry. Su. You still went and go safe Bakugo even though I told you and the others you would be considered breaking the law and might have been expelled. She then looked down avoiding his face. Su. I regretted what I said to you and I'm sorry. She started to cry, and the thing Izuku did was hug her, making her surprised by that made her cry even more. Su. Becoming friends with you made me happy and finding out you were Spider-Man and saved me, I don't know what to say except. She then made him look at her, Izuku wiping away her tears. The two of them in a romantic state looked at each other, then rain started to put down with the dorm lights in the background. Su. Really? She didn't get to continue since the two of them moved in closer and kissed, making it passionate and pouring everything in that kiss. Then they parted, leaving a line of saliva between them. Izuku. I'll make it up to you Su, okay? She just nodded and the two of them went back in the dorms, and seeing that they need to go to their rooms they did. But nor for Izuku, since getting fired up and with clean clothes he suddenly got a message from Kyoka, and when he was in front of her door and when it opened he suddenly got pulled in and the door closed shut and locked. Nobody's paw. It's morning and in one of the dorm rooms we see two people in bed, both completely naked and embracing one another. Izuku, who just opened his eyes, looked to see he was in a different room, and seeing the music instruments he knew who it was smiling down at Kyoka's sleeping face made him put a smile on his face. Izuku. Well, that was something. Venom. The fact that she took you in her room to have that steamy sex, you're lucky her room was soundproof, otherwise the other girls would have heard you. Izuku. Yeah, ain't I lucky. He got out of bed replacing himself with a pillow so Kyoka can hug it tightly. Getting his clothes on he used a quirk to turn him invisible, and going through the window he jumped and started swinging to his room, and when he got there he was sighing in relief that it wasn't locked. He got inside, closed his window and opened his door to go down the common room. Seeing most of the guys there telling them good morning. Izuku. Morning guys. And they said morning back while Iida told Izuku his breakfast was on the table and he went and enjoyed it. It didn't took long for the girls to come down and four of them went to Izuku, giving him and kiss on the cheek one by one, leaving him blushing a bit since the others saw it. Venom suddenly came out to reveal his smiling face. Venom. I see you're enjoying yourself, my friend. Izuku. Now's not the time. Venom was just smiling at Izuku cause of the girls while the guys were thinking on the lines. He's so goddamn fucking lucky. Later on we see the class of 1A begin their school life anew in the room. Aizawa mentions that their first objective will be earning their provisional hero licenses, and also reminding them that the provisional hero licenses grant them permission to intervene directly when people's lives are at stake. The exam to obtain the provisional hero licenses is less than 5%. Aizawa. In order for you all to step it up, you need to create 2 signature special moves that will be used for combat. And that was the time for Smentos, Ectoplasm and Midnight to come in. Aizawa. Alright, change into your hero suits and meet up at Gym Gamma. Izuku quickly got up and the others saw his school uniform turning into his hero suit and left, leaving the others and the heroes surprised. This made Aizawa smile on the inside. Aizawa. Well, guess he's always prepared. Meanwhile at Gym Gamma, we see Smentos explaining that the Gym Gamma was created by him, and using his quirk he can alter the gym to suit the needs of every student. Tenya. Is there a reason why special moves are necessary? Aizawa explains to Class 1A that the Provisional Hero License exam is designed to test the students' aptitudes such as information gathering, judgment, mobility, leadership, and communication in various types of trouble. However, the attitude that is most prevalent is fighting ability. Smentos comments that bringing stability to a situation is a mark of a hero's true fighting ability. Next, Ectoplasm explains about special moves as being not entirely offensive. Ectoplasm names Tenya's Recipro Burst as a move worthy of being called a special move since being able to move at blistering speeds within a short space of time gives him an upper hand. Class 1A begin to understand that the purpose of special moves is to give them the upper hand in battle. Midnight gives another example of a special move. Kamui Woods' Lacquered Chains prison move allows Kamui to suppress his opponents before they can do anything. Aizawa tells Class 1A that the training camp's purpose, before being abruptly brought to an end, was to help develop their special moves. Aizawa: so listen up, you all have the remaining 10 days of summer break before it hits the second semester to spend entirely on developing your quirks, so I suggest upgrading your suits for your special moves, understand? And the class gave him a, yes sensei. Smentos prepares the terrain and Ectoplasm creates clones of himself for Class 1A to spar against. Class 1A begin training. While all of Class 1A begin training, Izuku was there not moving, until one of Ectoplasm's clones came rushing at him using his quick reaction time, dodged the clone's punch and got on his back, pushing him on the ground. E-clone. W. Well, I guess you're no pushover, huh? Izuku released the clone and apologized for daydreaming. E-clone. From what I've seen, you have a lot of experience as a fighter. You move quickly and think sharp in any situation, but you're still young, so you might make mistakes. Izuku thought about those mistakes and they were a bit venom. Fucking steamy if you ask me, ha 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 ha. Izuku sighed while nodded at the clone. The clone left, leaving Izuku to think. Izuku: to me, I've got ways to use the quirks at my disposal, plus adding one for all full cal maybe to other elements won't be so bad. Venom: you have the power, just don't use a lot of the quirks at the same time. The quirks may not have a limit, but your body does, so be careful. Izuku: yeah, you're right. Ending that conversation, Izuku decided to try something new. Meanwhile, Toshinori arrived saying hello to Aizawa and Midnight. Toshinori: I am here. Aizawa: you're going to overdo it, you know. Toshinori deactivated his muscle form while still smiling. Toshinori: sorry about that, but hey, it doesn't really hurt me that much, but I wanted to see how the kids were doing. Aizawa: well, they're doing okay. Midnight: but I'm not too sure for Midoriya. When she said that, Aizawa and Toshinori looked to see Izuku with his eyes closed. Meanwhile, Katsuki has defeated an Ectoplasm clone and is happy that he can fight again. Aizawa and Toshinori commented on Katsuki's prowess and that he will only keep growing stronger from here on out. The other students of Class 1A continue their training and thinking about their special moves. But the two teachers then looked to Izuku, seeing heat surrounding him, and then lightning formed as well. Toshinori smiled at that. When Izuku opened his eyes, they were red and started to smile, revealing all his teeth sharp. Izuku: OFA full cowling, blaze style. With his new mode, he suddenly ran, going from concrete to concrete while leaving a heat trail. Then he jumped and went to a large block of cement, clenching his fist, which turned bright red along with lighting. Izuku: lightning fire SMAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA This actually made Aizawa paled, glad that Izuku wasn't a villain. Toshinori was smiling happy for Izuku and Midnight. Well, she was having hearts in her eyes that made the two male teachers backed away with a thought. May you find peace, Midoriya, cause you might have to run for your life. This actually made Izuku shiver a bit and Venom. Well, you don't want to know what he's thinking. After that we see Izuku heading to the support class to see May. When Izuku was going to open the door, he saw Ochako and Iida walking towards him. Ochako. Hey, Izu are going to upgrade your suit, she said while running, making Iida shouting at her about no running in the halls. Izuku smiled. Just then his spider sense went off and just in time he moved away from the door, seeing the explosion. This made Ochako and Iida shocked. Inside the smoke there was coughing, courtesy of Powerloader. Powerloader. Dang it, Hatsume, how many times you have to explode another door? May. Well, my babies need improvements, so it's better to test them as soon as I finish them, so no worries. Izuku. Geez, May, I thought exploding was done. When May heard his voice, she jumped at him, wrapping her arms and legs around him and giving him a large smile. May. I miss you, Izuku, you big dummy. Izuku just smiled and kissed her on the cheek while making sure to hold her. Izuku. Sorry about that. Powerloader. Ahem, well, is there something you need? Cause you can come on in. WJE Nay said that he went inside followed by Iida and then me after putting down Mei, who was chatting with Ochako. Once inside, Iida and Ochako was asking for upgrades for their suits, making Mei excited while Izuku was looking around and seeing what looks to be a version of the web shooters. Powerloader. Well, now you. Izuku looked at him, who was smiling underneath his helmet. You've done quite a lot for the people, but you best be careful. Izuku nodded at that and looked to see Iida up on the ceiling with thrusters on both of his arms. This made Izuku laugh inside until he stopped after hearing what Mei said about running with his arms. Izuku thought about this for a while. Him as Spider-Man, he needs to be unpredictable, so he needs to put that in his hero form as well, so instead of using his arms all the time when using Alpha. Power Loader scolds Mei for messing around. However, Power Loader advises Izuku, Ochako, and Tenya to invest in their relationship with her because once they become pro-heroes, she will be taking care of their hero costume needs. Power Loader points to a mountain of trash in the development studio. He tells them that the trash is actually support items Mei has created since she started at UA, even creating support items during the school holidays. Despite her self-centered attitude, Power Loader compliments Mei for her talent at inventing as well as her courage to come up with new ideas and attempt to make them real even if they fail. Meanwhile, the rest of Class 1A are progressing on improving their quirks. 4 days later at the Gamma Gym, in the midst of training, Toshinori shows up and Aizawa tells him that Class 1A are progressing nicely. Izuku is walking along with Mineta talking about ways to improve together. Meanwhile, Fumikage has developed a special move called Tenebrous Abyss Body that allows him to equip Dark Shadow onto himself. Midnight likes Fumikage's special move but advises him to change the name so that it is easier to say. Katsuki tests out his new special move called AP Shot on a rock, a move that creates an explosion beam. Katsuki's AP Shot successfully executes and penetrates a rock. Katsuki. Haha, I did it. However, the rock Katsuki used his AP Shot on cracks and begin falling towards Toshinori. Katsuki. Hey, get out of the way. Toshinori saw it and was about to move until a green stream of lighting came in, and that was Izuku positioning himself with the arcs of OFA surrounding him. He used his leg to kick the rock and destroy it. Toshinori plus Aizawa were shocked to find Izuku do another soon-to-be special move. Izuku. I KNW for a fact the legs are stronger, so instead of using my arms my second move will involve only in my legs OFA full cowl, shoot style. This made Toshinori smile. Izuku came towards him asking him if he was alright, which he nodded. Aizawa told him to go to safety while Toshinori was apologizing to Katsuki, who was annoyed, telling him to be careful. Kirishima and Kaminari went to Izuku asking about his second move, which made him smile. Izuku comments on Eijiro and Denki's hero costume upgrades. Other students of Class 1A, Shuyo, Kyoka, and Kota have made upgrades to their hero costumes. Suddenly, Vlad King and Class 1B enter Gym Gamma, causing Shota to ask Vlad King for 10 more minutes. Monoma, whose hero costume is a simple gentleman's attire, comments that due to the low pass rate of the provisional hero license exam, all of Class 1A will fail. However, Shota remarks that Class 1A and Class 1B will be taking the exam at different venues, much to Nito's disappointment. Vlad King states that the exam is conducted every year in June and September at 3 different locations across the country. To avoid students from the same schools from clashing against each other, it is common practice to split up their students by sending them to different sites and testing times. Nito seems relieved that he will not be able to bring down Class 1A himself, causing Eijiro and Denki to wonder if he has a mental condition. Itsuka came towards Izuku pushing a looks like a present towards him and leaves quickly, making Izuku confused while Kaminari jaw-dropped seeing what happened. Even the rest of Class 1B, mainly the boys, were shocked while the girls were blushing when seeing Izuku. Shota tells Class 1A that the chances of those who receive their provisional hero licenses in their first year is extremely small due to the presence of other strong students who have been training and honing their skills much longer than they have. Izuku nodded in understanding to that and then looked at the present. When he opened it, he blushed crazy after what he saw. Venom. Ha 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 ha, oh man, that girl is bold. Izuku. V, please stop. Venom. Oh come on, cheer up, maybe the other girls will do the same thing. Izuku. That might make me happy and scared at the same time. Venom. Well, you better watch yourself cause you might have grown women coming after you. Izuku. GOOOOOOOOODDDDDDDDDDDAMMNNNNNET. Izuku just stood in place, pale like he saw a ghost, or when Venom suddenly tried to rape him while looking like a female version of himself. Nobody's paw. We see in the dormitory for Class 1A the girls in the common room talking, more specifically talking about their green-haired vigilante classmate. Toru. Well, what do you all think of Midoriya? This made Ochako, Kyoka, Shuyo and Suyu to blush, while Mina was smiling and Momo was blushing a bot as well. Ochako started to talk, saying Izuku was a great person and someone she holds dear in her heart. Same goes for Shuyo, who said it was because of him that she was able to let go and break a chain that was holding her and being able to use her fire. Suyu told the girls she loved him and wants to be with him for as long as ever. Kyoka was blushing while saying she loved him so much while putting her hands on her face. Toru, Mina and Momo were really shocked, mainly because of what they heard, and just as they were to continue they heard the front door open and the person who came in was Izuku, without a shirt on, showing his amazing chest and abs like it can grate diamonds. This made the girls blush like crazy, making the girls look at him with hearts in their eyes. Meanwhile we see Izuku going into the kitchen getting something to drink, not noticing the aura from the girls. But Venom sure did, who was smiling and containing his laughter. But Venom wanted Izuku to be not troubled. V. Hey Izuku. Izuku. What is it? V. Still thinking about those nudes that Itsuka's girl gave you in the box. This made Izuku almost spit out his drink, making him get red-faced. Izuku. V, come on, I am trying not to think of it, I am already feeling fucking horny, damn it. This made Venom laugh out more, and just as Izuku was about to shout at him he suddenly felt his spider sense turning on and avoiding what appeared to be a pink tongue. He knew who it belonged to when he looked at the direction he saw, what made him shudder. All the girls looking at him like they were in heat. The girls. Izuku. They called his name and it was inviting, and somehow with the help of Venom using the black tendrils he scooped up all of them. Izuku. I'm going to make you all feel a lot of pleasure, but first. Izuku did something to Toru, making her visible to everyone, and this made her happy after telling her she's able to activate and deactivate at will, but Izuku decided to stop with the explaining and on with the pleasure trip. Now this will be Toru when she's visible, so bear with me. This actually made them feel nervous and made them feel wet as well. All of them went towards Momo's room with no sound escaping the walls. Izuku and girls were having the night of their lives. With the remaining days of training in Izuku's sex life with the girls coming to an end, it was the day of the Provisional Hero License exam. Class 1A arrive at the exam site, Takoba National Stadium. Some of Class 1A are nervous, but Aizawa encourages them to do their best so that they can pass this exam and further their goal in becoming heroes. Class 1A huddle together. Suddenly, a student called Inasa Yoarashi interrupts their huddle, causing another student to tell him that it is rude to interrupt other people's huddles. Inasa expresses his apology to Class 1A with vigor and bows to them while smashing his head into the ground and bleeding, much to some of Class 1A's shock. But that wasn't the only for them to be shocked. SPIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIII. Oh no. Venom. Ooh yeah, here it comes, ha 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 ha. When Izuku turned he was face to face with soft amazing breast in his face. It's like totes seeing you again, Spidey. When Izuku looked up he saw the girl with long blonde hair similar to Toga's and a cute face, while the guys and also the girls were shocked. Izuku and the girl hugging him were looking into each other's eyes. But it was interrupted courtesy of Mineta. Mineta. So are you going to introduce us to your lady friend? He said while smiling. Izuku just sighed, putting the girl to land on her feet on the ground. He turned towards his classmates. Seeing a deadly aura to the girls made him gulp a bit. Izuku. Everyone, this is Kami Yutsushimi, we met during my times doing patrols as Spider-Man. Kami. It's like totes meeting you all, I'm glad to meet Spidey's friends. She said that while hugging his arm, making the guys except Mineta glare daggers at him. Izuku. Damn it, I know I forgot something, but geez. Venom. Ha ha ha, well you're on to your own for this one, wake me up when you start fucking ballet girls' brains out. Izuku. Oi Venom, don't leave me man. But it was too late, making him sigh while Kami was smiling, but Izuku was pulled away by Ochako and others who were giving Kami deadly looks. Kami. Ooh, I see. She smiled and told them bye while blowing a kiss to Izuku, making him blush and shudder while feeling a deadly aura from the girls made him want to see Toga, Melissa, hell even Black Cat or the Tigress Babe. Izuku. Damn those legs and their sexy figures. Venom. Wow, maybe pushed you a bit too much. Izuku. Gee, I think. Meanwhile other participants of the exam recognize the students with berets. Katsuki comments that there is a high school in the west, Kansai, that is on par with UA, which is from the east. The people standing in front of Class 1A are students from the famous Shiketsu High School. Inasa energetically expresses his excitement about competing with UA and wishes Class 1A the best of luck. As the other students of Shiketsu High and Inasa leave, Shota tells Class 1A that the energetic student's name is Inasa Yoarashi and states that he is a powerful contender. At UA's entrance exam, the same year Class 1A took it, Inasa received the top score and passed. However, despite receiving the top score, Inasa declined his admission offer. Now this made Izuku surprised with Inasa's prowess and thinks that he might be as talented as Shuyo, but he had a strange feeling something's up with Inasa, but saving that thought later. Zero. If he got a great score, why did he refuse the enrollment to UA? Aizawa. The reason, well, he's a bit awkward, but be warned his skill isn't to scruff it, so be careful. Well, if it isn't Eraserhead. The voice a female called out made Aizawa and the rest of Class 1A to look to see the female teacher approaches Shota and states that it has been a long time since they have seen each other, although Shota is indifferent. The female begins joking around with Shota while the erasing hero is unamused by her sense of humor. The female teacher that Shota apparently knows is the smile hero. Ms. Joke in her quirk as outbursts. Her quirk forces others to laugh, which impairs their cognitive and motor skills. Joke. So let's get married. Imagine it, if I was your wife, you'll have future filled with constant laughter. Aizawa. To me that sounds like an actual nightmare. This made her laugh out. Sue. It seems like you two are really close. Joke turned her attention to 1A. Ms. Joke. Our agencies are near each other as young heroes striving to make a difference in the world, a mutual love bloom. Aizawa. No, it didn't. Ms. Joke. I do, Mr. Gloom, you're my favorite person to tease future husband. This made Aizawa sighed. Aizawa. So Joke, if you're here that must mean. Joke nodded while smiling, introducing 1A to Ketsubutsu Academy High School, and she teaches class 2-2. Some students from Ms. Joke's class shows up and greets Class 1A. One of her students called Yo Shindo happily greets some of Class 1A. Shindo is impressed with Class 1A's perseverance considering everything they went through during the year and believes that overcoming obstacles is what heroes need, which is why he respects Class 1A. But when he decides to come close to Izuku himself backed away, leaving the others confused when they saw his emotionless face. They were a bit spooked. Izuku. You can drop the act, no need to ugly your face even more. Shindo was a bit shocked but ignored him. After when Ms. Joke told him and the others to get onto their hero suits. We see Class 1A on the field with their costumes on and ready. Izuku decides that Class 1A should work together to pass the preliminary round since he believes that it will be school versus school. However, Shuyo told them that separating order to use their quirks more effectively and so that they do not become an easy target by huddling together. Katsuki does the same, being followed by Eijiro and Denki. Some of Class 1A follow Izuku while Izuku explains that working together is better because the other schools know their quirks and fighting styles while he was sighing inside. Venom. Don't worry Izuku. Izuku. Yeah, okay. Venom. But be prepared, I've got a bad feeling. Izuku. Well, you're not the only one. Ms. Joke comments to Aizawa that while the format changes every year, a tradition does exist throughout the history of the Provisional Hero License exam. The tradition is crushing of UA students. Izuku felt his spider sense going haywire and looked up to see other students. The rest of the class saw different schools coming their way. Dozens of examinees approach them and are eager in taking them out. When Yo sees Izuku again. Shindo. Even if I haven't seen your quirk in the sports festival, that means you have less control over it. Izuku, Venom. This dude's an idiot. Shindo and many examinees begin throwing balls at Class 1A. However, Izuku came running in along with Mineta. The two of them came to each other. Izuku using Blaze style and Mineta using quirk to form armor around his legs and arms. The two of used their legs and gave the balls a massive kick, blocking them and diverting them away from the class, leaving the other examinees shocked. Shota tells Ms. Joke that it did not matter if he told them or not about the tradition in taking out UA, since they have to overcome the obstacle regardless. Being a hero means that they have to get themselves out of a pinch whatever the circumstances are. Izuku. Ready for a wild time v. Venom. Always partners. Nobody's paw. It has begun with the exam going on. We see Izuku and the others getting ready. Yo wasn't surprised that students from UA weren't affected by an ambush of that scale. His classmate Shikui Makabe uses his stiffening quirk to harden his projectiles and gives them to Idahiro Toteki. He uses his boomerang quirk to lock onto Class 1A and uses his supermove trajectory, Crescent Moon, to throws the hardened balls underground. Idahiro expects to take Class 1A by surprise because he threw the balls underground. When Izuku saw this, he went and looked towards Kyoka. Izuku. Kyoka, get ready. Kyoka. On it. Kyoka uses her quirk to unleash her special move called Heartbeat Fuzz, which shatters the ground, allowing Class 1A to see where the balls are being fired at. Mina uses her special move Acid Veil to protect Minoru's blind spot. Seeing an opening, Fumikage equips Dark Shadow onto himself using Black Abyss and, grabbing a ball with his right hand, uses Piercing Claw of the Dusk against Tatami Nakagame in order to attach the ball onto her. But she narrowly dodged that attack, collapsing her torso into her waist using her telescopic quirk, and comments on Class 1A's strength. Mera announces that 0 examinees have passed so far. Izuku decides to wait and see the examinees' quirks before starting an actual fight, since everyone is protecting their targets and thus the chance of getting a lucky hit is minuscule. Venom. Be prepared if things go south. We're going to use our spider suit or go full Venom. You got me. Izuku. Yeah, you got it. On the bleachers, Ms. Joke tells Shota that those who take the leading role can turn the tables. In the stadium where Class 1A were, Shindo tells his fellow classmates that he will shatter their solid defense. Shindo uses his quirk known as Vibrate on the ground and uses a special move called Tremoring Earth, which unleashes a powerful earthquake that completely shatters the ground, causing Class 1A to lose their footing. Izuku lost focus when that happened, making him react too late. Izuku. Damn it. At another area of the stadium, some examinees feel the earthquake Shindo caused. However, they soon forget about the earthquake and focus on the battle in front of them. Suddenly, all of the examinees' balls are being swept up into the air by powerful gusts of wind. On top of a building, the examinee causing the gusts of wind is Inasa with his quirk Whirlwind. He was getting fired up and wishes to participate in the heated battle when Inasa blasted all of the balls onto the examinees with his powerful wind. Mera receives information on the first examinee to pass, which is Inasa Yoarashi. However, Mera is shocked that Inasa managed to eliminate 120 examinees in an instant. Back at the battlefield between Class 1A of UA and Class 2-2 of Ketsubutsu Academy, Izuku was regaining his footing after the ground is shattered courtesy of Yo's Vibrate. Izuku contemplates that Ketsubutsu Academy have done their homework on analyzing their quirks and decides that Class 1A must team up together in order to combat Ketsubutsu Academy's strong teamwork. Despite being at a disadvantage, Izuku couldn't help but feel excited. Showing a grin, Izuku was getting ready until his spider sense went nuts, and trusting it this time he dodged while crushing down to avoid a ball that was about to hit one of his targets. When he looked at the person who tried to tag him, it was Kami, and she was giving him seductive smile, making him shudder a bit. Kami. You're really cool, you know, hat right. Izuku just got into his full cowling getting ready. Meanwhile we see Ochako landing on rubble and is still recovering from Yo's earthquake. Ochako decides not to call out to Class 1A as that would attract dozens of examinees to her. Being composed, she was thinking that the best option is to regroup with her classmates to avoid being ganged up by themselves. During that time Izuku was narrowing his eyes to see what Kami was about to do. Kami. You know, in large-scale exams, some examinees target certain individuals for information or have enough. I'm one of those who crave it, that's why I came after you. Izuku knew that talking would only distract him and wonders if her classmates are supporting her or if she is on her own. Kami throws a ball and a rock, but Izuku effortlessly dodges them. However, Izuku is surprised that the female had disappeared once more, and using sonar quickly he was shocked to find her not in his range. Izuku. Well, that's surprising. Venom. You're telling me after this we're going web swinging? Izuku. Agreed. Suddenly his spider sense went off and dodged an attack from Kami, who was trying to throw a ball at him, but he dodges. Kami. You're really something, Spidey, you're making me more curious and wanting you more. Izuku for one blush a bit. Venom. Dude, you'll mess her up after the exams. Izuku. Dude, come on. Izuku was about to hit her with one of his balls. Venom. Hee balls. But she again disappeared. Izuku. Sigh, okay, I'm getting tired of this. Izuku then dodged another one of her attacks when she reappeared, blocking them one by one. Until his spider sense warned him to avoid an attack coming his way, and what he saw sass webs protruding from the ground. Venom. Izuku. Some other time. Izuku and Kami see that other examinees have arrived. Izuku realizes that the worst case scenario. And he had to dodge most of the balls in his direction, and not seeing Kami made it easier for him. He then jumped in the air, and when the examinees saw this they thought they had a chance, but they were so wrong. Izuku. V suit up. Venom. Copy. The examinees saw Izuku's suit changed, and when they saw the spider symbol they were shocked and scared, finding out who Izuku was. Izuku. Today's your lucky day, gentlemen, cause you're my target practice. Using one of the balls, Izuku thought about using a quirk like his mom, only this time he using his mind. With that settled, he throw the ball and a fast pace, hitting about 18 targets in seconds. Izuku. When he heard his name he looked and saw Ochako, but suddenly the other examinees approach Ochako, who becomes surprised and annoyed by this, which forced her to take a step back. This made her lose her footing, which caused her to fall. But with quick thinking, Izuku used his webs to slingshot himself, plus with full cowling to get there faster and just in time to catch her, and using an empowered kick to the ground, resulting the examinees to lose their footing and distracted them a bit, which managed to lead Izuku and Ochako to escape and finding a hiding spot. Ochako. Thanks for saving me, Izuku. Izuku. No problem. However, Izuku had a strange feeling. Izuku. Something isn't right. Venom. Meaning. Izuku. I'm not sure, but Izuku couldn't continue since he heard voices coming from the examinees. And using his sonar to track where they are until his spider sense plus sonar alerted him, and with quick reflexes he swatted the ball from Ochako's hand. Izuku. I knew it. Izuku. You can remove that disguise, I know you're not the real Ochako. Kami. Nobody's paw. Previously on Spider Izuku Venomised. Izuku. You can remove that disguise, I know you're not the real Ochako. Kami. And now, Izuku was narrowing his eyes with his spider lenses at the fake Ochako. Ochako. What are you talking about? Izuku. Don't try. If you were the real Ochako you would have used your quirk to make you float to avoid falling, but you haven't, and there's one thing you should know is that your scent and Ochako's are totally different. Izuku then saw her smile, making him put a distance between them. When Kami removed the disguise she was smiling at him while having a blush. Kami. You really are cool, Izu. And she came rushing at him, making him dodge. Kami. It doesn't matter if the person is a villain, you would still save that person. Your strength, kindness and bravance that just make me love you even more. Izuku. Okay, I know she and I have a nice relationship, but this is Venom. You better treat her well, otherwise she's going to stalk you and won't stop. Izuku. Venom. Just trust me. 'Cause those large jugs will only be yours to enjoy. Izuku. You, my friend, have some serious problems. Izuku just ignored any more of Venom's urges and ducked an attack and then backflip. But before Kami decided to rush at Izuku again, a large tape suddenly came, making her dodge. Hey, you alright, Midoriya? Izuku then looked to see Zero using his quirk just in time, and not just him but Ochako came in and tried to take Kami down, but she just dodged and jumped on a higher ground, avoiding Ochako's moves. Kami. Well, it's been fun having a moment with you, Izuku, but it seems our time has to be cut short. And Kami retreats with Honta trying to go after her, but Izuku advises him and Ochako not to pursue her. Izuku. Thank goodness you guys made it here. He chuckled awkwardly while scratching the back of his head without the mask on. Shiro looked at him with confusion. Shiro. What do you mean by that? Izuku then looked away from them. Izuku. Well, Kami transformed into Ochako Su. This made Shiro's helmet lid flip open, showing his blushing face and eyes widen along with a blushing Ochako. Shiro went to Izuku, rested his hands on both of Izuku's shoulders and shook him up, making Izuku getting dizzy with venom, laughing. Shiro. Was she naked before we came here? Izuku. Gee. That's what you're worried about? Of course not, she still had her clothes on. When things calmed down, Izuku, Ochako, and Honta decided to plan their next move, with Honta noting that there are a group of examinees near their location. Izuku then heard that 53 examinees have passed and the eliminated count stands at 230. Izuku. I hope the others are okay. Venom. Even Bakugo. Izuku just sighed. Even though he's still a prick, there's still a little bit of hope in his heart that him and Bakugo can be friends again. Izuku. Even Bakugo. In another location we see Shuyo hiding alone in a steel labyrinth-like area of the arena. She heard the announcer reveal that over 50 students have passed, forcing her to act. Shuyo was immediately targeted by a group of students from Saijin clad in a ninja garb. They ambush her, but she blocks their projectiles with a wall of ice before freezing them all in place. The student in red throws a bolt at Shuyo and uses his quirk to greatly increase its size. Shuyo blocks with a shield of ice, but the ninja breaks through it by attacking with more weapons. She tries to melt another projectile thrown at her, but she was forced to dodge. The ninja reveals the weapons are made up of tungsten, a material resistant to super high temperatures, telling Shuyo she's overconfident for acting on her own. The red-clad leader calls Shuyo overconfident for working alone. Her response was a fire attack, and the two students negate her attack with their water-based quirks. Then she defends with her ice, but the students counter by throwing large items to break it. Their strategy is to negate both of Shuyo's elements with their various quirks. Shuyo manages to get away after the engagement fills the area with steam. She realizes the labyrinth-like area they're fighting in must have real features built into it. The Saijin students are drawn to a decoy flame, and then Shuyo uses her ice to break a tank above them. By using her fire on it as well, she manages to create an explosion that incapacitates her rivals. Victorious, Shoto freezes them and then tags their weak points to pass the first test. Mera. The 54th examinee to pass as Shuyo Todoroki. Shuyo managed to hit her targets by simultaneously using her fire and ice. Shuyo. My simultaneous usage of my fire and ice together are still sluggish, I still need to practice. While she was saying that, her mind went back to her love-making with Izuku, making her blush. The lights on Shuyo's targets light up and one of them told her to proceed to the waiting room. Inside the waiting room, Shuyo sees that quite a few examinees have passed like her already. While looking for a place to sit down, she spots Inasa, who is having a conversation with another examinee about Stamp Man. Shuyo goes to sit down on a chair and ponders that she must have met Inasa when they were taking the entrance exams, since he was also recommended. During the conversation, Inasa sees Shuyo and suddenly stops talking, silently glancing at her. Inasa turns back and continues his conversation with the examinee. Nobody's pav. We see Izuku in his spider suit enjoying the scenery as much as he can. Well, he's trying to. I told you none of you have what it takes to be the main girl. Oh, I'm sure I have the most experience than you little girls. Who you calling little, you gold-digging hag. It started to turn into a cat fight with the girls Izuku knows. Toga, Mei, Black Cat and White Tigress. The fact Izuku doesn't know who White Tigress is, he is fucking dense. While Venom was having fun watching the entertainment with Izuku just sighing. Izuku. Am I the only who feels sane? Venom. Oh sure you are. When you're not getting it on with the girls you should be getting it on right now, you fucking pussy. Izuku. Will you just chill? It's bad enough you're always saying things that are so fucking sexual. Venom. You know it's your own fault, and the fact you're not remembering our nice time together. Izuku. What? Venom smiled widely while showing himself in front of Izuku's face. Venom. Oh, you don't remember. Izuku. V what the hell are you talking about? Venom. I'll give you a hint. She Venom. Izuku. Izuku suddenly pale when Venom said that and he started to put his knees to his chest and trying to forget that encounter. Venom. Wow, that really messed you up that much. Izuku. You took it by force, you sick fuck. He said while mumbling the words. And Venom could just laughed out even more and then he looked towards you. Venom. Well, since my buddy is traumatized at the moment, how about I give you the reason towards that now? It all started before the entrance exam for UA. Flashback. Before the entrance exam around 5 months ago. We see Izuku swinging around left and right enjoying the rush of the air. Once he landed on top of a building he suddenly got a call from his tech friend. Venom. It seems your lady friend needs her body pillow. Izuku. V that was one time. Venom. Don't deny it, you've been at her house so much times helping out with her babies that these fucking images you have are making me go nuts, you virgin ass. Izuku for one was confused at what Venom was saying, but he had to answer Mei's call. The only thing that was happening is Izuku and Mei talking and enjoying their chat while Venom was having issues seeing the images was making him thinking of doing something exciting but will lead to a something that will affect his host, but Venom. Fuck it, I'm doing it. While Izuku was talking to Mei, Venom was searching at a wide range and seeing no villains or low-down crooks. It was time to set his plan. Izuku, finished with his call, decided to head home. Web-slinging from building to building, enjoying the wind passing through while making sure no heroes don't catch him, he made to his home, went to the back window and got in, and seeing that his mom isn't home made him sigh in relief. Just when Izuku wanted to tell Venom to change, Venom decided to remove himself entirely from Izuku's body, which made him confused since this is a first. Izuku. Hey V, what's up? Izuku said with no clothes on, only wearing his boxers. And Venom, well, Venom. Izuku, we're good friends, right? This confused Izuku and just nodded slowly, not sure how this will go. Venom. Well, just know, this is on you. Before Izuku can say anything else, he was suddenly trapped with his legs and arms restrained by Venom's tendrils. Izuku. V what the hell mph? Venom shut his mouth and used the remaining pieces of himself to form a figure. Izuku can only look to see Venom having a feminine body that's hourglass with the spider symbol on his. Well, her chest with the chest area having delicious double D breast, but what shocked Izuku was seeing Venom have a female face with her eyes dark and hair the color of night and silky and with a cute face, but her mouth was filled with sharp teeth and showing Izuku a smile that he knows all too well. Venom. I can't take any more, Izu, I need you so bad. Venom then formed something that made Izuku pale like a ghost and squirming even more and screaming in panic and fear. Cause what he saw was Venom in her female form with a large 10-inch thick long black rod and was pulsing with veins being seen. Venom. Sorry Izu. Venom then got on top of Izuku and aiming the rod close to his asshole. Venom. Since I don't feel like taking your dick, I'm taking your asshole virginity, so scream for me baby. And Venom pushed her rod in forcefully in his ass, making him shed tears, feeling his butthole stretched out and being punished by his symbiotic friend, and feeling the hot thick rod going in and out of his ass. He can only made grunting sounds filled with pain and little bit of pleasure. And Venom was enough, it finally letting out this kind of problem she can finally let loose. Venom. Yes, that's right. She started grabbing his butt cheeks and pushing even more inches inside, filled with so much pleasure, making her stick her tongue out. Venom. More yes yoy like that Izu, you're mine, you're my fuckboy, my plaything, and I'll enjoy it for a long time. Izuku for one didn't hear a thing since his mind was black, filled with so much pleasure he couldn't speak. Izuku's and Venom's moment continued until it was night, and once Izuku's mom came inside and called out to him, Venom had to finish quick, so she removed the tendrils that were restraining Izuku, who at the moment was unconscious. She decided to heal what she did to his poor butt and also his asshole, making him return to being a virgin for his ass, and then she turned back to now his original form and slithered back inside Izuku's body just in time for Mama Inko to see Izuku asleep in his boxers, so she just left the room, making Venom sigh in relief. Venom. Well, I finally enjoyed something for once. I'm really thinking of doing this again. What do you all think, my fellow readers? End flashback. Venom. And that's how it happened. Venom finally finished, but Izuku just looked at him like he was insane and trying to forget that memory. Izuku. Dude, who are you talking to? Venom just ignored him and looked at the girls and had an even larger grin. Venom. I hope you enjoy this little show, Izuku. Izuku just turned and was blushing to see the girls with pieces of their suits showing their amazing gazungas. Izuku. Those delicious breasts and their nice juicy nipples. Venom just laughed and decided to try something new using a quirk called Dome, which helps to conceal an area so nobody can see or hear what's inside, and with this Izuku thanked him and letting the girls look at his direction to his Spider Jr. up and ready, and all the girls didn't waste time and pounce after him. Izuku. I love. Venom. Chuckles, love you too, enjoy your steamy day of no holding back. And with that ends the dome was filled with moans, grunts and so on until nightfall. Nobody's paw. In another part of the exam we see Momo, Tsuyu, Kyoka, and Mezzo enter a building after failing to find the rest of their classmates. Meanwhile, Psycho Intelli and her classmates from CI Academy set a trap for Class 1A students. Kyoka hears people ascending the building from below until her ears are injured by a sudden blast of music. Psycho and her classmates enter the elevator after completing Phase 1. Outside, another student uses a slingshot to crack the windows of the room Momo and the others are in so that they can't see outside. Momo notices the enemy is sealing off Kyoka and Mezzo's quirks that are good for detecting people. She surmises that the enemy is trying to keep their group trapped inside the room and are likely right outside the door. Kyoka recklessly tries to attack, and this leads her to be injured by the sniper outside the building. Then the air vents start pouring in cold air that forces Tsuyu to hibernate due to the nature of her quirk. The enemy students weld the other escape door shut and force Momo to try and think of an escape plan. Psycho has used her IQ quirk to outmaneuver Momo and her group up until now. Psycho. To me, I personally expect Mrs. Yaoyorozu to overuse her quirk to stop the cold air vents inside the room, that way my group can defeat them. Momo then remembered how Izuku put his life on the line in order to rescue Katsuki from the League of Villains, making her falling in love with him even more and giving her inspiration, and realizes that she has to save her classmates. Momo asks her friends to endure the cold and produces headphones for them to wear. Then she produces a high-powered amp. Psycho readies her allies to storm the room but is surprised when her rival students counter with a high-frequency sonic waves attack. All of the CI students except for Psycho are knocked out by a large amp created by Momo to amplify Kyoka's quirk. The Class 1A students leave the room to find Momo's plan was successful. However, Psycho hides behind the door and then locks herself and Momo back inside the room. Psycho admits she's surprised Momo would go with such a high-risk tactic rather than the predictable route. Momo can't move as well from overusing her quirk, and Psycho tries to tag her targets to make her fail. Momo counters by handcuffing their arms together. She buys enough time for Mezzo to break down the door. Tsuyu rushes in and uses her tongue to restrain Psycho's other arm. Psycho is shocked that Momo's allies came to her rescue because they could have passed without her. Kyoka, Tsuyu, and Mezzo explain that they would never leave their friend behind, and Momo follows up by saying that's just how Class 1A is. Impressed by the UA students, Psycho admits defeat. Mera announces that 4 more examinees have passed, bringing the total number of examinees passed to 58. Meanwhile, with Izuku and the others, he used radar to see the examinees are working together in large groups and then attack smaller groups. Afterwards they start fighting over who gets to hit the last target, to which Ochako realizes that as they try to steal the last target from each other, their numbers will also start to dwindle, which makes it harder to catch others. Honda asks why Izuku is intent on gathering Class 1A together. Izuku responds that working together is the best option because they do not have knowledge on their opponents' quirks and they are short on time. On the bleachers, Ms. Joke offers Shota some gum, which he rejects. Shota is frustrated that he is unable to find out who has passed. Ms. Joke wonders why he is worried. Shota explains that he is not worried but has high expectations because 2 of his students, Izuku and Katsuki, encourage and inspire the rest of his class. As a result of their presence, Shota feels that Class 1A should perform spectacularly, which is why he has high expectations. Katsuki, Eijiro, and Denki end up in a separate city-like district inside the arena. They walk out in the street and are confronted by Seiji Shishikura. He attacks Katsuki with his quirk meatball, but Eijiro pushes Katsuki away and gets hit with the attack that transforms him into a lump of flesh. Katsuki challenges the Shiketsu student head-on. Meanwhile, Izuku decides that they should first figure out the number of examinees they need to pass and then immobilize them. After they are immobilized, they will hit their targets with their balls. Suddenly, Ochako hears footsteps. Izuku tells Ochako and Honta that he will act as a decoy while they keep a distance from him and try to immobilize as many examinees as possible. Izuku, Ochako, and Honta prepare to enact their plan. Meanwhile in the bridge, Seiji expresses pride in wearing his hat as it is a symbol that shows Shiketsu High's brilliance, stating that their sense of pride and dignity makes them superior to UA. Seiji has respect for UA, but upon witnessing Class 1A for himself, he feels disgusted to be participating with them. Katsuki couldn't care less about the males whining and tells him action speaks louder. Seiji gladly demonstrates his quirk, kneading 5 fingers out of thin air and launches them, calling Katsuki an ingrate while Katsuki prepares to attack. He blows away Seiji and his kneaded meat fingers with his new technique, AP shot, auto cannon. Which surprises Seiji that he let his guard down by Katsuki's impulsive and abrasive attitude. Denki notes that Seiji's kneaded fingers are returning to his skin. Getting his head in the game, Seiji rematerializes his kneaded flesh fingers and promises to make Katsuki understand the importance of behaving in a dignified manner. Annoyed with his constant talking, Katsuki charges towards Seiji while Denki fires projectiles with a piece of his equipment attached to his arm, the sharpshooting gear. Seiji manages to dodge Denki's projectiles and decides to get rid of Denki's projectiles first. This caused Katsuki to be pissed at being ignored and fires an AP shot autocannon at Seiji. Seiji defends himself from Katsuki's explosion technique by materializing flesh in front of himself to act as a shield. Seiji remarks that he was not ignoring him. Katsuki realizes that a lump of flesh is on his shoulders. Seiji states that he had one of his kneaded flesh circle from around under the bridge to attach to Katsuki. Seiji reveals that if a person is touched by the flesh, they become a lump of flesh themselves. Katsuki tosses something to Denki and then he's transformed into a ball of flesh. Seiji reminds Denki that his actions are simply a show of power. Seiji believes that due to All Might retiring, the need for strong future heroes is necessary and thus thinks that the true objective of the Provisional Hero License exam is to weed out the weak and select the cream of the crop. Seiji agrees with the assumed true purpose of the exam, which is why he stands in Class 1A's way, believing them to not be fit to be heroes. Seiji warns Denki that even though Eijiro and Katsuki are balls of meat, they can still feel pain as they normally would, meaning that unleashing electricity in the surrounding area would harm them. Denki and Seiji decide to battle. Seiji needs flesh fingers and fires them at Denki, to which Denki retaliates by throwing an object at Seiji. The object explodes, which stops Seiji's attack, which confuses Seiji since Katsuki is a ball of meat. Seiji sees that the object is a grenade. Denki reveals that Katsuki was carrying one of those grenades as he can create simple explosions with them. Seiji realizes that Katsuki gave Denki one of those grenades when he was talking. Denki fires a beam of electricity from his fingertip at Seiji, which electrocutes Seiji. Denki reveals that he is unable to control the flow of electricity by himself, which is why his sharpshooting gear allows him to control the flow of his electricity. Denki realizes that Katsuki's explosions have a large range and used his AP shot against Seiji, which has a restricted range, so that he would not harm Eijiro or him. Denki tells Seiji that Katsuki may be impulsive, but he is more serious about becoming a hero than most. Denki criticizes Seiji for mocking them when he knows so little about them. Seiji, furious with Denki's stupidity, and angrily replies that he was telling them to know their place. Suddenly, Katsuki and Eijiro attack Seiji with an explosion and hardened fist respectively. Denki comments the reason Katsuki and Eijiro are back to normal is that his flesh ball prisons can be cancelled depending on the amount of damage Seiji has taken, which is why Seiji fights at long range. Eijiro thanks Denki, but Katsuki yells at him for taking too long. Denki is dismayed by Katsuki's comment and replies that it's no wonder people always insult him. Afraid, Denki notices the other victims of Seiji's quirk have been reverted to their normal bodies as well. He tells Katsuki and Eijiro they weren't the only ones Seiji balled up, and Katsuki licks his lips and replies that he knows. The three of them stand off with their new opponents until a fight breaks out between all of them. Meanwhile, with Izuku along with Ochako and Shiro are fighting the examinees in their area. They talked about their situation and how rival students are starting to split up. Izuku decided to act as a decoy so Ochako and Honta can restrain their pursuers. With that, Izuku, still in his spider suit, jumped up in the air above the examinees. "Izuku. Hey noobs, you think you can take me down?" he said with confidence, making them pissed and about to attack him. Seeing that the examinees are distracted, Ochako and Honta launch their surprise attack. Ochako and Honta use their quirks. Ochako use her zero-gravity quirk to make the debris float, and Honta launching them with his tape and fire debris at the examinees, which entraps them. Many examinees are pinned down by the tape due to the heavy debris. Mera announces that 76 examinees have passed. Izuku, Honta, and Ochako place their balls on 6 examinees. Mera announces that 3 more examinees have passed, indicating that Izuku, Honta, and Ochako has officially passed the preliminary round, which is the first exam. As Izuku begins thinking about his other classmates, Mera notes a pattern. Despite many examinees trying to eliminate UA, Class 1A has not lost a single student thus far. Katsuki, Eijiro, and Denki are fighting the examinees on the bridge. Tsuyu, Momo, Kyoka and Mezu are in the waiting room along with Shoto. Tenya and Yuga are working together. Mina, Mashirao, Toru and Minoru have formed a group, while Fumikage, Koji, and Rikido have teamed up in an attempt to pass. Seeing that the first exam is nearly over, Mera decides to make preparations for the second exam and leaves it up to them. The people Mera is referring to are a group of senior citizens and many young children. The senior citizens look forward to messing with the young examinees. Nobody's paw. In the waiting room, Izuku, Ochako, Minoru, Denki, and Honta celebrate because all of Class 1A passed the first exam. Inasa was shocked that Seiji failed to pass. One of Inasa's classmates comment that Seiji was full of himself, which lead to his downfall, and asks him to tone his voice down. Kami had also passed. Mera asks the 100 examinees who passed to look at the screen which shows the battlefield. The entire battlefield the examinees were competing on crumbles. All the buildings are destroyed, which causes the battlefield to become a disaster site, shocking some of Class 1A. Mera tells the 100 examinees that the destroyed battlefield, which has become a disaster site, will be their next and last stage for the Provisional Hero License exam. On this disaster site, the 100 examinees will be conducting rescue maneuvers. Mera announces to the examinees that they will be conducting rescue maneuvers in saving citizens at the disaster site. What will be tested is the examinees' ability to adequately carry out rescue operations. However, the citizens ordinary, they are senior citizens and children who have obtained provisional hero licenses and have gone through all sorts of training, and as a result they are experts in rescue maneuvers. The senior citizens and children are a part of Help Us Company. Mera explains that the senior citizens are disguised as injured victims and are scattered throughout the disaster site. The examinees will carry out their rescues. Mera informs the examinees that their rescue activities will be scored on a point system. By the time the rescue activities are completed, examinees who exceed the average value will pass. Mera ends his explanation by telling the examinees that there will be a 10-minute break, which will give the examinees the time to prepare. Izuku realized that the second exam is modeled after the Kamino incident. Narrowed his eyes when his group had to rescue Katsuki. He just sighed, trying not to think about it. Venom. We'll deal with Firecracker later, Izuku. From now we need to focus. Izuku just nodded. Meanwhile, Honta tells Denki and Minoru that Izuku saw Kami's naked body, which infuriates Kaminari due to the jealousy, while Minoru just laughed at Izuku's luck. Kaminari confronts Izuku for what he saw. Kaminari. I misjudged you, you curly-haired bastard. Which confuses Izuku, but Kaminari didn't allow him to explain. The two look at Kami, who smiles and waves at Izuku, which he waved back, further strengthening the implications that Izuku has some kind of relationship with the girl. Izuku for one made sure to MD Kaminari between him and Kami, but he begins understanding the situation and informs Denki that her nude body had something to do with her quirk and she has scary skills, but they still antagonize him. Izuku sighed internally. Izuku. Can't I get a break from this? Venom. Sadly no, but hey, once this is over you'll get a chance to enjoy those plump lips and that almighty large jugs of breast I'm sure you want to put your face in. Izuku just twitched his left eyebrow, but he can't deny he wants that to happen, and her giving him that smile isn't helping him. They're interrupted when the Shiketsu students approach UA's Class 1A. Nagamasa Mora greets Katsuki and asks if he met Seiji Shishikura. Katsuki replies that he did, which Nagamasa apologizes for Seiji's rude behavior towards them. Nagamasa: Seiji was trying to impress them in his own way, and Shiketsu High School bears no hostility towards UA, and I wish to establish a good relationship with UA, and I apologizes for Seiji's impolite behavior. Seeing as how they are here to talk and not antagonize, Shuyo asks Inasa if she did something to bother him. Inasa gets straight to the point and says he hates both her and her father, Endeavor. Inasa comments that while her demeanor has changed, Shoto still has the same eyes as Endeavor. Inasa rejoins his fellow Shiketsu High classmates while Shuyo contemplates what Inasa just said. Before Izuku can consult to her, Kami says goodbye to Izuku, to which Izuku immediately responds with a nod, and Denki jump on him again. Momo tells him to stop acting disgracefully. Kami walks away while Ochako's heart starts pounding and looking at Kami's walking figure and then looking back at Izuku. Ochako: I know he's going to have more girls, but still it hurts. Before Ochako can speak to Izuku, the second exam of the Provisional Hero License exam begins. A rescue scenario is being broadcasted to the examinees. Large-scale destruction of buildings have resulted in large numbers of victims. The damage to the roads are severe and the emergency unit will be considered late. Until the emergency unit arrives, all rescue activities will be left to the heroes and they must save every life they can. The waiting room door opens up and the 100 examinees rush out to the disaster site to carry out their rescue operations. Izuku, Ochako, Tenya, Minoru, and Mina head to the nearest affected urban zone. They encounter a crying and injured child who screams that his grandpa has been crushed. Izuku, using his spider suit now fully on, carefully picking up the child, telling him everything is okay and seeing if he can walk and checking his breathing, and now noticing he's bleeding he to him to the others, telling them to make sure the child is okay and take him to the first aid system, and used his web slingshot himself in the air. While doing that, Izuku realized that the HUCS are doing the scoring. Some examinees begin scoping out the danger area of the disaster site, create makeshift roads, landing areas, make first aid stations, and establishing a relief area. On the bleachers, Shota comments that Class 1A will fall behind in this exam if they don't get serious. Ochako looks at Izuku in the air and questions what she is doing. She realizes that she knows other girls will like to be with him, but knowing she might get in his way, and in order to focus on her dream, she must shut off her feelings for Izuku. The reason Ochako found Izuku to be cool in the first place was because he does everything he can without giving up for the sole purpose of achieving his objective, and found Izuku's determination admirable, even thinking about how they first met. Ochako decides to do her best, and shutting off her feelings for Izuku will aid her in doing so. Ochako becomes focused and determined and springs into action. Mera notes that the ordinary methods in the second exam will not be enough for the examinees. Suddenly, a mysterious individual steps foot into the disaster site. Inasa Yoarashi uses individual gusts of wind to remove rubble and safely move victims. One of the victims being moved by Inasa's wind is impressed with Inasa's precise control over his quirk. However, he still finds the moving of the objects with his wind to be crude and deducts points. Nagamasa tells Inasa that he shouldn't take action without confirming the safety of the environment or the condition of the injured. Inasa realizes his mistake and apologizes for it. Kami has disappeared from Inasa's group. On the sidelines, Seiji comments on Inasa's feat for taking the Provisional Hero License exam, which is a test second years normally take, and his prowess has been accepted. Seiji's teacher talks to him about being influenced by Stain's teachings, to which Seiji finds to be absurd. Seiji's teacher doesn't mind Seiji being influenced by Stain's fundamentalist view, as many individuals wish to change the approach to today's heroes. Seiji's teacher reprimands Seiji for letting hatred drive his influenced ideals, as it has clouded his vision. At the disaster site, many examinees continue carrying out rescue operations. Momo spots the grandpa of the child Izuku saved and confirms that he is still conscious. Ochako rushes in to help by removing the rubble, but Momo stops her because there is a wall near the grandpa that looks like it will collapse. Momo creates metal pillars and Honda tapes them together, which reinforces the wall. Ochako begins clearing out the rubble. The grandpa finds Momo, Ochako, Honta and Rikido's rescue maneuvers to not be shabby. The grandpa notes that the rescuers must operate as efficiently as possible, must work together, understand the limitations of one's quirk and divide roles and responsibilities to fellow rescuers. The grandpa knows from experience that it is difficult to accept one role only, which can only be done with a strong understanding of the situation. Minoru and Tenya are frustrated that they are unable to do anything. Mezu decides that Class 1A should split up into small groups. Tenya agrees and thinks that they should communicate and work together with the other schools to save the civilians. Yuga is using his naval laser to give another examinee light. Elsewhere in the disaster site, 2 civilians require help from Katsuki because their arms are injured. However, Katsuki refuses to help them since they can still move their legs and shouts at them to help themselves. Eijiro and Denki think that they should help the civilians. Denki and Eijiro go to help out the civilians. The civilians are appalled with Katsuki's attitude and deduct points from him. Meanwhile, Izuku has arrived at the makeshift shelter for the injured. Izuku hands over the injured boy to a female examinee, telling her that the child has a head injury which is not severe and is bleeding while his responses are normal. Elsewhere, a mysterious individual comments that heroes act as the intermediary rescuers until rescue teams arrive. The mysterious individual asks Mera for an update. Mera comments that the HUC people are giving fewer point deductions while the rescue maneuvers are going well. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurs which catches the examinees' attention. The mysterious individual is revealed to be Gang Orca and he is backed by a dozen enemy grunts. Mera notes that Gang Orca was at the Camino incident and comments that he is strong. A broadcast is given to the examinees. Villains have appeared and they, the heroes, must suppress them as well as continue carrying out the rescue maneuvers. Gang Orca and the dozen enemy grunts begin their attack on the heroes. Gang Orca wonders how the heroes will respond to his menacing presence. The reason why the Provisional Hero License exam has a real-life situation by having villains in the exam is because the Hero Public Safety Commission's headquarters changed the exam structure to include real-life scenarios so as to prepare upcoming heroes for actual combat situations. The Provisional Hero License exam's change is supposed to emphasize collaboration and cooperation. Mera thinks about the major change made to the Provisional Hero License exam, seeing that the Hero Public Safety Commission wants to gather potential heroes who strongly value unity since there will never be another All Might. Mera notes that while the HUC will be evaluating the examinees' rescue actions, 100 members from the Hero Public Safety Commission will evaluate the examinees' overall movements and proper usage of quirks. They will evaluate 1 examinee each. In order to pass the Provisional Hero License exam, the examinees must get more than 50 points, otherwise they fail. In the disaster area, Gang Orca and his goons begin attacking. Shuyo and Inasa head towards the villains while Izuku is nearby the villains along with Shindo. He uses his vibrate quirk to stop the advance of the goons in order to create distance between the heroes and the villains. Although Shindo manages to stop some goons, Gang Orca uses his Orsinus quirk to emit a paralyzing sound wave which paralyzes Shindo and collapses before Gang Orca. The number 10 is unimpressed with the one-man vanguard and says the students are clearly underestimating him. Gang Orca approaches the first aid base. Suddenly, he is struck by Shuyo's ice glacier, but Gang Orca manages to shield himself by breaking some of the ice. Fumikage, Mina, and Mashirao arrive with Mashirao informing Izuku thanks to a telepathy quirk that they were at the waterfront while Suyu and most of Class 1A are in a nearby town continuing rescue operations. Izuku was using full cowling while Aang up in the air helping as much injured citizens as he can while also scouting airborne. Inasa shows up and uses his wind quirk to blast some of the goons away. Some members of the Hero Public Safety Commission are impressed with the examinees' rescue center operation and are pleased that Shuyo and Inasa, who have combat-suited quirk, are attacking the villains. Shuyo notices Inasa and tells him to go help in the rescue operation, but Inasa ignores her and blasts wind on the villains which blows Shuyo's flames away. Inasa is annoyed that Shuyo used her fire, to which Shuyo defends that her ice was ineffective. Inasa criticizes her for attacking the villains first so that she can get all the credit, much to Shuyo's confusion. Inasa attributes his belief that Shoto is selfish because he is Endeavor's son. Shoto becomes angry at Inasa since his father has nothing to do with this exam. Suddenly, the other goons retaliate, which causes Shuyo to be struck by one of the goons' cement guns, while Inasa uses his wind quirk to fly around, which enables him to dodge the goons' attack. Inasa remembers his childhood. He was a child who didn't know fear, and as such whatever caught his interest became his new favorite thing. The latest trend, heroes, caught Inasa's interest and became deeply invested in them. Eventually, he developed a belief from his perspective that all heroes have red-hot fighting spirits that allow them to challenge anything head-on. One day, he witnessed Endeavor defeating a villain and became to admire Endeavor because he symbolized Inasa's belief that heroes have hot spirits which inspire and move people. The young Inasa asked for an autograph, but Endeavor refused to sign him one and told him to not stand in his way. Endeavor's rudeness shocked the young Inasa and caused him to despise Endeavor because he betrayed his admiration for him. Years later, at UA's entrance exam for the recommended students, Inasa partook in a marathon. During the marathon, Inasa spotted Shuyo and became interested in her after seeing her great usage of ice. Although Inasa had a bad feeling coming from her, he felt reassured that once they become classmates, Shuyo's eyes won't bother him. Inasa and Shuyo reach the goal, but Inasa reaches the goal by a stretch, making him the first to cross the finish line while Shuyo comes in second. Inasa tried to greet Endeavor's daughter. However, she said to him she doesn't care about Inasa's praise, nor does she look at him, and states that passing the exam was all that mattered to her. As she walks away, Shuyo comments that Inasa is a nuisance, just like her father did years ago, which shocks him. Inasa despises her and Endeavor because they do not symbolize his belief of what a true hero should be. With her right side immobilized by cement, Shuyo refutes that she isn't like his father. She begins admitting to herself that she still hates her father, but stops thinking about her hatred so that she can concentrate on the exam. Orca questions the logic behind Shuyo and Inasa's argument amongst each other while in front of a villain. Inasa states to Shuyo that he will never recognize her nor Endeavor as heroes, but she ignores him. Shuyo and Inasa begin their counterattack on Gang Orca and his goons. She blasts fire while Inasa launches a blast of wind. However, Inasa's wind blasts Shuyo's fire in another direction. Shuyo's fire begins heading towards the paralyzed Shindo at a fast pace. Suddenly, Izuku uses his webs plus his enhanced speed to rescue Shindo, saving him from Shuyo's fire. Izuku was pissed and it showed on his mask when Venom's face was there. Izuku, what the hell are you two doing? You could have caused more harm than good, so stop fucking bitching and putting others in danger. Izuku's criticism stops Shuyo and Inasa stops their arguing. She suddenly remembers that Inasa is the teenager she encountered in UA's entrance exam. The reason she didn't recognize Inasa is because at that time she was only seeing her hatred of her father, Endeavor. After the sports festival, Shuyo decided to forget about her hatred for her father after reconciling with her mother. Seeing that forgetting her past isn't helping since it comes back one way or another, Shuyo decides that she needs to do something else to confront her past. Nobody's paw. Annoyed with their bickering, Gang Orca appears before Shuyo and uses his sound wave move on Inasa. Inasa attempts to dodge, but he is hit by a goon's cement gun, which causes him to lose his concentration and is knocked out of the sky. As Inasa falls to the ground immobilized, Gang Orca grabs Shuyo by her neck and tells her, "Orca, you reap what you sow," barraging her with supersonic waves at point-blank range, which immobilizes her fully. With both of them immobilized, the sidekicks rush to destroy the evacuation shelter. Shuyo and Inasa embraces Izuku's criticism of them. Inasa realizes that his hate has made him become the type of hero he despises, while Shuyo acknowledges that her past mistakes have put her in this situation and thinking of thanking Izuku later. Both of them decide they need to make up for their mistakes. Izuku sees the goons running towards the rescue site and decides to intercept them. Before he can, Shindo uses his vibrate quirk and crushes the ground the goons are on, stopping them in their tracks. Izuku is surprised Shindo can still move after taking Gang, Soundwave move and the drawback of his quirk. Shindo replies that he has developed a resistance to his quirk but he is still numb. Shindo tells Izuku that it is up to him to put the goons out of commission. Izuku activates One for All Full Cowl and telling Venom to return back, making him have his hero suit, and heads towards the goons while the rescue group continues its operations. As Gang Orca prepares to back up his lackeys, Shuyo blames herself for picking a fight with Inasa during a serious situation. Even with the odds stacked against her and the compatibility of their quirks terrible as well as their cooperation, she knows that with heat wind becomes unstable. Shuyo starts producing fire from her left side and hopes that Inasa is thinking of the same idea. Indeed, Inasa is thinking of the same idea and starts producing wind. Inasa controls the wind and blows it towards Shuyo. Inasa's wind scoops up Shuyo's flames and becomes unstable, blowing towards Gang Orca. Suddenly, Gang Orca is engulfed by an unstable blazing whirlwind. Gang Orca is engulfed in a fire prison created by Shuyo's flames and Inasa's wind. Gang Orca is impressed that Inasa and Shuyo managed to still use their quirks despite being completely immobilized. Although he wasn't amused by their bickering earlier, Gang Orca gives credit for Shuyo and Inasa's combination attack and respects the two for attempting to rectify their faults by working together. The goons that were stopped by Shindo's quake have gotten back up and see that their boss is being besieged by flame and wind. The goons attempt to stop Shuyo, but she creates a small iceberg to stop the goons from advancing towards her. The other goons that have gone ahead towards the rescue area see that their boss Gang Orca and their fellow goons are in trouble. Suddenly, Izuku appears and attacks 3 goons with his one-for-all full cowl shoot style which knocks them down. Before the other goons can attack Izuku, Mashirao appears and attacks a few goons. Mashirao informs Izuku that rescue operations are almost completed and backup should arrive soon. Mera sees that there are 3 remaining HUC members that still need rescuing, and after they are saved, he can conclude the second exam. Mina and Fumikage arrive and use their respective quirks to attack and knock down some goons. Examinees from other schools begin to arrive to help battling the goons. Out of nowhere, some goons are knocked down by a long tongue. Suyu was the one who knocked the goons down and reveals that she can turn invisible thanks to her camouflage. Mashirao asks Suyu about the rescue operations, to which Suyu replies that the rescue operations are mostly complete. Shiketsu High have also arrived with the hairy Shiketsu High male attacking some goons with his hair. Izuku just sighed in relief but shivered a bit after seeing Kami giving him a seductive wink while licking her lips. Venom. You know you need to be more open-minded towards the women you are having in your harem, dude. Izuku. Are you lecturing me about this now, dude? Maybe after we finish the exam. Venom. Okay fine, just so you know, if you decided to get freaky. Well, Venom will be ready if you know what I mean later. Izuku paled and shocked his head, trying to get that out of his head, and prepared to help out his fellow examinees. Meanwhile, Gang Orca is still engulfed by the fiery prison. However, Gang Orca isn't worried one bit as he had already planned ahead. Gang Orca throws water on himself to prevent himself from drying out. Gang Orca disperses the fiery whirlwind with a roar and asks Inasa and Shuyo what they have planned next. Izuku appears and attacks the number 10 hero with an enhanced one-for-all full cowl kick, but Gang Orca defends himself from Izuku's kick. Inasa and Shuyo are surprised that Izuku arrived, with the latter commenting that to the bitter end, Izuku always comes to the rescue. She said it with a smile and a blush on her face. Izuku turned up the percentage of his kick, making Gang Orca to be pushed back. It looked like it didn't do much damage. Orca just looked at Izuku and laughed, which made Izuku confused and somehow a bit angry. Orca. You may have the power, hero, but you're still weak. You're nothing without that suit of yours, and when that happens you're defenseless. That single word made Izuku stop in his tracks, and when Orca saw the look on Izuku's face he paled and knew he fucked up. Izuku. V-Mask Venom for one was extremely excited. Venom. Copy with that venom covered Izuku's whole body, turning him into his second form, showing his large grin. Venom. You fucked up bad, Orca, and for that we'll give a little something. Venom used his right arm, morphing it into a large machine gun, making the people around having frightening looks. Venom just widened his smile even more. Venom. Oh, don't worry, we have rubber bullets in this bad boy. Su endour it you whale Venom, in a word, was getting turned on by this while pointing the machine gun at Orca, making sure Shuyo and Inasa got out of the way safely thanks to his tendrils. Before Izuku and Venom can continue the fight of guns against Gang Orca, Mera announces that all HUC members have been rescued and officially brings the Provisional Hero License exam to a close. Venom moaned in disappointment and turned the machine gun acknowledges into his arm. Venom. Well, it was gun while it lasted. Hope I didn't hurt you too bad, gang Orca. And Venom returned back into Izuku's body, letting him have control and stretched a bit. Izuku. I'm consider letting you control my body for some time soon, alright. Venom. Why lots of sexy babes coming my way, baby. Izuku just laughed while ignoring the odd looks at his direction. Nobody's pav. Mera informs the examinees that after the scores are tallied, he will present the results of the Provisional Hero License exam to them. He tells those who have suffered injuries to direct themselves to the medical office and those who aren't to change back into their normal clothes and await for further instructions. The goons apologize to Gang Orca for failing at their jobs since it is difficult for them to move around with the restrictive protectors on. Gang Orca ponders that even without the restrictive protector and the exam continuing for longer, Inasa and Shoto's fire prison and Izuku's strange surprise attack might have injured him to the point of being unable to continue fighting. He shivered, having Venom's smiling face imprinted in his mind. After the examinees have their injuries attended to and have changed back into their school uniforms, they gather in front of a screen. Mera thanks the examinees for their hard work and will present the results. Before he does so, Mera explains that the HUC members and his fellow colleagues from headquarters examined both the quality and nature of their conduct in situations of crisis. Mera tells the examinees that the names of those who passed will be displayed on the screen behind him in alphabetical order. The results of the Provisional Hero License exam are presented on the screen. 89 examinees have passed the exam. Izuku looks up for his name on the screen and had a smile on his face to see that his name is on the screen. Izuku clenched his fist, feeling happy that he passed with Venom singing him "He's the best, I am his head." Inasa sees that his name is not on the screen and knew that he didn't pass, while Shuyo has a solemn look on her face. When Izuku saw that, he went up to her and gave her a hug which she enjoyed while placing her face to his chest. Everyone in Class 1A has passed, except for Katsuki and Shuyo. While most of Class 1A celebrate, Katsuki is angry that he didn't pass and Shuyo remains silent as she is fully aware why she failed while still holding onto Izuku, which made the girls of 1A feel jealous. Inasa approaches Shuyo and slams his head on the ground. Inasa apologizes to her for making her fail and asks for forgiveness. However, she tells Inasa that she doesn't have to apologize. Instead, Shuyo thanks Inasa for his critique of her as it has made her realize there were some important things she missed. The rest of Class 1A are surprised to hear that Shuyo failed, while Momo offer her condolences even though she's giving off a lot of jealous vibes, which made Izuku shiver. Mera distributes out sheets to the examinees that has details of their performance in the exam and their scores. A point reduction system was used to tally their scores. While he understands the point reduction system, Izuku doesn't understand why those who fell under 50 points were not asked to leave the exam immediately. Mera congratulates those who have passed and will obtain their Provisional Hero licenses immediately. Mera states that they now have authority equal to that of heroes and will be able to stop villains and rescue civilians at their own discretion. Mera tells the examinees that with All Might no longer active, their world is changing and they need to adapt to that change by upholding the balance All Might works so hard for. When they become heroes, they will become the pillar that supports society. Even though they have hero authority now, they must continue studying until they graduate, as having this authority doesn't make them true heroes. Mera tells those who failed to not become disheartened because they can attend a special training course in March, and if they produce strong results, they will obtain their Provisional Hero licenses. The failed will be given a chance to rectify their mistakes in this training course, which will make them even more qualified than those who passed this exam. Mera tells those who failed that he will not object to them re-challenging the exam in April. Now that there is still an opportunity to obtain their licenses, Katsuki and Inasa are fired up. Shuyo tells Izuku that she will catch up soon, which made Izuku smile at her and kissed her on the forehead. Izuku. Then I'll be waiting, my little ice queen. This made her blush and made her smile to know how caring he is. Outside, the Provisional Hero License exam is officially over. Izuku is holding his Provisional Hero license in his hands. Izuku looked at it ANC, thinking on what he needs to do now. Ochako questioned Izuku on what he's thinking, and Izuku replies while walking to her and giving her a big hug resulted to her blushing a lot that the provisional hero license is proof of his growth from being a vigilante and is happy that the help he has received along the way has not been in vain. Ochako smiled and kissed him on the cheek, saying she's glad to have met him, which made him show his 1000-watt smile. Venom. Can you two get a room, or are we not doing anything worth our while? Izuku just shook his head to Venom and decided now's the time. Izuku. Ochako, I'll be late to go to the dorms, so make sure the others know, okay? Ochako thought about that and she must nod at Ochako. Okay Izu, but please be careful. Izuku just nodded and gave her a kiss on the lips, enjoying it for a few seconds. Inasa says farewell to Shuyo and once again apologizes to him while Shuyo gives her farewell. Izuku at that time came up to her, kissed her on the lips and telling her he's going to be late to go to the dorms. She wasn't the only one confused, cause Izuku had to go to all the girls and kiss them on the lips, making them blush and making the guys look at him full of envy. Izuku just laughed. Izuku. Well, see you guys later. Venom, suit up. Venom. Copy, and with that he jumped in the air and got his spider suit on and slingshot himself away. Izuku smiled at himself swinging from building to building. Izuku. Well, now it's time for Spider-Man to give his official debut. Don't you think, V? Venom. I couldn't agree more, but Izuku. WOHHHHHHO. The official spider hero is here and ready to take down criminals. Meanwhile, we see in an unknown building a short man looking at a large cylinder chamber and smiling giddy. Soon you'll meet your sibling and I'm sure it will be a surprise. Carnage. Nobody's Pav. 2 weeks after the battle in Kamino, Yokohama, and All Might's retirement, in Kanagawa Prefecture, a man named Jin Bubaigawara looks over the streets surveying the people. He believes the most important aspect in life is understanding yourself. Jin is annoyed with the civilians' content faces and cannot stand them. However, a voice inside the man's head disagrees. Ever since the final battle between All Might, Spider-Man and All for One ended, television networks and the internet were buzzing with chatter regarding anxiety due to All Might no longer being around. Jin was listening to the news on his television, which has Daikaku Miyagi speaking about studying the consequences of All Might's retirement and countermeasures to be put in place against villains and the web crawler. Jin believes that the anxiety revolves around one person. The man who became the #1 hero after All Might's retirement, Endeavor. Because of his attitude, Endeavor is someone everyone cannot accept and everyone describes him as coarse. From Jin's perspective, Endeavor is nothing more than an ordinary person pretending to be a superhuman, and he only became the #1 hero, albeit undeserving, due to All Might's retirement. Jin, for a better term, was thinking on how Spider-Man being just a kid has done more good than any other hero he's seen so far, and the voice in his kinda agreed. On the television, Mr. Miyagi speaks about Endeavor's high-resolved cases tally and that his furious disposition prevents a majority of people from liking him, as shown by his base of supporters consisting of males aged between 20 and 40. However, Mr. Miyagi thinks that they should focus on Endeavor's strengths and how he can carry them forward. He switches off the television and goes out. Walking outside, Jin believes that the weakening spirit of heroes is the issue and not their power, but the voice inside his head believes that it's all about power, to which Jin tells the voice to be quiet. Suddenly, a robbery occurs and Jin watches from the sidelines. Yellow is stealing a service counter as a hero tries to stop him. However, another villain hits the hero on the head with a crowbar. A getaway truck shows up and the villains puts the service counter in the truck. The group of villains announces themselves as Team Reservoir Dogs. Jin, watching the crime scene, believes that with All Might gone, villains have started increasing in numbers again, with scoundrels forming their own little groups in a planned and systematic manner have begun standing out more and more. Jin was about to go until he heard a sound of webs, and not a moment too soon he saw Spider-Man taking down the villains with his webs, making them hang upside down. Spider-Man. Geez guys, ever heard of work? It can help you on the long run. And he then left, not before healing the hero and setting him down and calling the police and other pros. Jin was a bit shook to see Spider-Man, but suddenly, his phone rings and he picks it up. On the phone, it is the broker for the League of Villains, now known as Jiren. He and Jiren ask each other how they are doing. Jiren is quite happy because the black market has seen a resurgence and requests for suits and related items have doubled. Jiren attributes this resurgence thanks to the League of Villains. Jiren informs him that Tamura Shigaraki wants the League of Villains to gather together. Jin doesn't know about this information, although the voice in his head is fully aware of this information. Jin begins struggling and starts contradicting himself. Jiren tells him that the League of Villains will gather soon and not to do anything crazy until then. The phone call ends. After the battle between All Might, Spider-Man and All for One, at the moment the League of Villains are scattered across various locations. The League of Villains scattered not only to conceal themselves from ongoing investigations but to find other like-minded individuals and expand the League. Somewhere, Dobby confronts a group of thugs in an alley. Seeing that they are trash, Dobby burns the group of thugs with his fire and the thugs fall to the ground becoming ash. Meanwhile, Jin is struggling and starts splitting. However, he resolves this issue by putting a mask over his face that allows him to stay as one, revealing to be the villain better known as Twice. Twice starts talking about his quirk and past. Twice's quirk is double and can make one into two. In his past, Twice cloned himself over and over until he created a team of himself. Twice made the clones do everything for him. However, the clones began claiming that they were the real Twice, which resulted in an argument as to who was the real Twice. The argument resulted in a fight with the clones and the real Twice. Twice suffered an injury to his head as a result of this fight, which left a scar on his forehead. The maniacal situation dragged on for a week and 2 days, and at the end of the fight, the clones killed all of each other and they vanished. Even to this day, Twice is uncertain if he is the real him. Because he is a maniac, Twice had no place to call home until he found the League of Villains who accepted him. As long as he can be useful to the League, Twice can be happy being who he is. Twice looks back to see the crime scene. The Reservoir Dogs have been defeated and killed by another group of villains. The leader of the group of villains, Overhaul, comments that the thugs they defeated have illnesses and illnesses must be cured. Another villains tells Overhaul that he took the money and they should leave before they heroes arrive. While leaving, Overhaul states that everywhere he looks there are sick people. Twice comments that the maniacal Overhaul and his gang have started to make their own place where they belong. Twice wonders what he should do. Twice believes that because the heroes and villains have begun to undergo a change in appearance, the most important aspect is understanding who you are. Meanwhile, while Izuku is swinging, Venom. Gasp. Izuku. What is it, V? Venom. I just felt a disturbance in the air, like a number of brains were crying and were then gone in the silence. Izuku. Dude, you have issues. Venom. I need brains, Izuku. Izuku. We have chocolate, what more do you need? Venom. Let me digest a brain. Izuku. When the time comes, okay. Izuku just started to swing, ignoring Venom while thinking something isn't right, and then latched on a building and used a maze quirk to zoom in on the villains he webbed up, only to see firefighters taking out a fire. Izuku clenched his fist at that. Izuku. Damn it. Izuku's paw. While I'm swinging from building to building, enjoying the afternoon sunset and finally becoming a full-fledged pro hero. Even though I'm young, but that doesn't matter since I have experience and almost getting killed several times, but that's okay cause I'm S. Venom. We are Venom B asterisk TCH. Izuku. AAAAAAAAAHHHHHHH. I suddenly lost focus, and with Venom being a bitch removed the spider suit and having me in my hero suit, so with no webs I used OFA full cowling with lighting arcs black and zipped through the buildings and landed safely. Izuku. V, what the hell, man? Venom. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just so bored of your monologuing I decided to turn off the suit. INLCUDING, you're the other powers, except your spider sense, so good luck. I just had a shocked look on my face hearing what V said, but I guess I do deserve it since he does take most of the damage 24/7. Maybe I can just use OFA. Izuku. Well, sorry, but I guess you do deserve a break, how about it? Venom. Go get a threesome and I just might let you go spider mode. I was about to shout at him until went silent, not going to listen to Mr. until he has what he wants. I just sighed. Izuku. Well, that's not so bad. I guess I put on my mask to cover the lower part of my face. Activated OFA at about 10%. Even though I can go beyond that, I'll just take it slow for now, and I jumped off the building, roaming around the city now that it's night. Time skip. I finished dealing with a couple of thugs and using my phone while leaning on a wall in an alley to do a wide scope of any criminal activity. Suddenly I smelled what appeared to be perfume. Shit. I dodged a person's hand who had claws and I decided to cat leap from wall to wall, but the persons who's after me got the same idea. Once I was on top the building I distanced myself and look who decided to show themselves. Izuku. Well, if it isn't the one and only White Tigress, how's your day going? WT. Good so far now that you're here, Spidey. Izuku. Yeah, well, good to know, but I probably show. Well, this is something going out with someone, Spidey, you know that's cheating on your one and only kitty, right? Hearing that matured and sexy voice made me have a shiver up my spine. When I turned around I saw Black Cat and I got to say, it's one thing to be in love with one cat, but two, I'm in heaven. I backed away when Cat walked over to Tigress, and to me it looked like they were talking, so I backed away slowly and about to hightail outtake here and tell. Oh, where do you think you're going, pretty boy? I was suddenly hugged by none other than Popstep, and boy was she looking just fine. Izuku. Oh hey Pop, what's up? She just pouted at me. PS. You didn't call me I though you were avoiding me, you playboy. She started hugging me even more, pressing her breast on my back, making me blush. B. C. Oh, let me in on the action, WT. Don't forget about me, stud. And with that I'm surrounded by three highly beautiful and seductive vigilante women pressing their amazing bodies on me. God damn it, V, I need you. Venom. Ask and you shall receive, partner Izuku. V, you wanted a threesome, then help me, bud. Venom. Oh ho 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 ho, I'll help you, all right, it's time we enjoy this. And with that the four-way begun. Izuku's POV. It's one thing to enjoy the stuff I got from three sexy women, but the fact that I have a fucking curfew is literal bullshit to me, but what can you do? I've been swinging to head to the UA dorms and fast making me leave the girls and let them rest and leaving a note so they won't worry. I just sighed. Venom. Dude, stop worrying, Izuku. I'm not. Venom. Well, it seems like it. When you get to the dorms you'll have your other girls to be with, so stop worrying so much. Also, need I remind you of your blood-sucking babe? I shivered thinking on what Himiko might do to me. Really turned me on. Shit. Izuku. Damn it, versus you wanted me to get horny, didn't you? Venom. And it worked, ha 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 ha, good luck having a good time, pussy. I just grit my teeth and sighed. Nobody's POV. Meanwhile, inside underground maximum security prison, Toshinori meets with All For One. All For One comments on the severe strictness of the prison he is being held in. The moment you try to scratch your back with the chair you are sitting in, all the weapons will be in your face and everything is being monitored at all times, such as brainwaves, vital signs. Even if one were to try and activate a quirk, hands would be wrapped around your throat. All For One states that the underground maximum security prison is built for the complete and utter exclusion of the wicked. All For One believes that the underground maximum security prison was modeled after the Greek legend Tartarus, the god of hell, and finds it to be befitting. Toshinori assures All For One that he will never escape, nor is he getting out anytime soon from this prison of hell. Moving along, All For One questions again what All Might wants. All For One questions about Gran Torino and why All Might is still wearing his costume, finding it preposterous that he is still working as a hero. All Might comments on All For One's verbal diarrhea, to which the evil nemesis states that he hasn't had a proper conversation in a long time. All Might tells All For One the reason he is here. He wants to know the whereabouts of Tamura Shigaraki. All For One answers that he doesn't know, and unlike him he has already let Tamura carry on. All Might asks what All For One was after. Against all reason, he managed to keep his body alive and endured to live this long, carrying out exploitation and manipulation during that time. All Might wants to know what All For One was trying to accomplish. All For One finds this discussion topic to be unproductive because even if All Might listened he would not understand, since there will always be people who don't see eye to eye. All For One makes his answer simple. Both he and All Might are the same. In the same way All Might aspired to be the hero of justice, he yearned to be the king of evil. All For One comments that he had the power to embrace and embody the ideals of evil, and as long as he could live on eternally through these ideals, then no effort is too great for him. All Might. If you wanted to live forever being utterly evil, then why do you need a successor? All For One. That's funny. Well, you took everything away from me, most importantly my body. It's only thanks to these tubes I'm wearing that I'm able to carry on living, but my own ideals were limited thanks to you. All for One comments that when there is an end, they entrust everything that has been made by humans such as houses and food to be entrusted to other humans. All for One states that he is simply trying to do what everyone else has been doing, which is why he has been grooming Tamura Shigaraki to become his successor. All for One. I'm just doing something that you're doing. Grooming that so-called spider of yours. Toshinori clenched his fist, but the security informed him that he has 3 minutes left, much to All for One's disappointment as he still has much more to say. All for One had already known that the world would be shaken by All Might's retirement and wonders about the state of affairs going on in the world. The security inform All Might that All for One is completely cut off from information about the outside world and tell All Might not to give All for One any information happening right now. All for One is disappointed that All Might cannot tell him any information that is going on in the world. All for One decides to make a hypothesis. Due to the anxiety caused by All Might's retirement and the hero's new leader endeavor, the media is appealing to the entirety of the hero society. On the other spectrum, sensing the growing insecurity in the world, the outcasts who don't support heroes will rise up and take action because they think they will able to shape the way society behaves and organize amongst themselves. All for One assumes that Tamura will continue concealing himself for a while so that he can continue to build the League of Villains and expand their influence. All for One assumes that there is dissension among villains as well. All for One thinks that if the illustration is actually unfolding in that manner, then that is how he assumed the world would turn out to be. All of this change is due to All Might's retirement and the lie of his appearance. All for One believes that All Might will spend the rest of his life powerless and stricken by his inability to save anyone, sitting idly unable to stop the villains that are rising up. All for One asks All Might how does it feel being absolutely powerless. But Toshinori just gets up while security tell All Might to step back. All Might tells All for One not to presume everything while looking at him. All Might understands that he and his successor, Izuku, are to be killed by Tamura. All Might declares that he will not die by Tamura's hands and he will never allow the future that All for One envisions to happen, and said his final piece which might have put All for One shocked. All Might. Young Midoriya is someone you shouldn't mess with since he never gave his all in the fight. All for One for once in his life felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Fear of what this Izuku Midoriya will do in the upcoming future. The security informs All Might that his time is up. All Might begins walking away, telling him that he will smash the dark future his nemesis envisions as many times as he needs to, and All for One can rot in his lowly prison cell for all eternity. The prison cell begins closing as All for One mulls over spending the rest of his life in prison and thinking about something else in the far-end future. In the car, Naomasa wonders if All Might found any useful information from All for One, to which All Might tells his friend that he didn't. Naomasa comments on the long road ahead of them and assumes that Tamura will continue staying concealed for the time being. Before Naomasa can tell All Might about his interview with Stain, All Might receives a message on his phone. All Might checks the message, which is from Izuku, and sees a picture of Izuku's provisional hero license while in his spider suit with a text saying that thanks to him he was able to take another step forward with a spider emoji, which makes All Might happy. Naomasa and All Might continue traveling back. With Izuku he finished his text and then landed in front the dorms and walked inside without his mask on. Everyone saw him and some of the guys were congratulating him on his first day as an official hero. Izuku just smiled, and when he looked at the girls they only blushed and checking him in his suit. Everyone was doing their own thing while Izuku was out of his suit wearing a plain white shirt and black track pants followed by comfortable shoes. Katsuki suddenly walks past Izuku and tells him that he wants to speak with him outside. Katsuki wants to speak to Izuku about his quirk. Izuku narrowed his eyes while Venom was smiling. Venom. Let the final showdown begin. Izuku's pav. While the rest of Class 1A are asleep. Bakugo was taking me to what appeared to be Ground Beta, the site where Ochako's battle trial held when I was still in general studies. Izuku. Why now of all times he wants to talk Venom? Damn it, I wanted to see some girl x girl action, not boy x boy, but you're an exception, Izuku. V. Please. Just know I ignored him for now and just looked towards Bakugo and wondering what he's thinking. I used a quirk called telepathy to read his thoughts. Katsuki remembers the time where I was a quirkless good for nothing and then suddenly out of thin air I manifested a quirk and by some miracle got accepted into UA eventually, even receiving my provisional hero license while he failed. Izuku. Geez, is he that spoiled Venom? Izuku, he might change. This night, this moment, the two of you will have acknowledged each other. Izuku. I've acknowledged him since I was fucking 4, what makes you think I'll even forgive him? Venom. Because you still feel the need to be his friend no matter what he did to you. No matter what happened during UA, you still risk your life, even by almost getting expelled and taking the blame for your friends. You still wanted to be there for him cause you care. I couldn't say anything but only looking at Bakugo and hearing him what he has to say. Bakugo. Ever since the Kamino incident, I've been putting the pieces together and thinking about it the whole time. For one, I'm fully aware as to what he has discovered and letting him go on. Bakugo. You received your quirk from All Might, and having witnessed All for One's ability to steal quirks and bestow them onto others, as well as figuring out that All Might is an acquaintance of All for One. Katsuki also hypothesized that All Might also has some form of quirk transference because he has become weaker ever since coming to UA, and he didn't see me interacting with All Might from the beginning until the start of me being a student of Class 1A after the sports festival and the end of the internship. That's when me and Apple Might started to interact more. When Katsuki looked to my direction and seeing that I'm not denying anything, he knows that he was right about me gaining All Might's quirk. Bakugo. But I'm not done, and it doesn't make sense on how you decide to be a vigilante and still hide for this long, being Spider-Man, taking down villains and getting injured but also healing without any damage left on you. He clenched his fist and glared at me, and I just folded my arms around my chest. Izuku. So now you know the truth, then tell me how is knowing that I have the former #1 hero's quirk is going to help you, and I'm not giving you a reason why I decided to go vigilante in the first place. Nobody's POV. Katsuki knows that he and Izuku has always looked up to All Might, and seeing the person who he thought was a pebble on the side of the road being acknowledged by the person he looks up to is why Izuku is going to fight him here and now. Izuku is shocked that they have to fight and thinks that they should fight during practice. Katsuki tells Izuku that they cannot fight in a class session as the teachers will prevent them from going all out. Katsuki wants to fight Izuku to confirm what is great about him and why All Might would go so far to help Izuku. Katsuki wants to find out that if Izuku's aspirations are greater than his, because he is beginning to doubt if his own aspirations were wrong the whole time. Bakugo charges forward, but Izuku dodged in time to avoid Bakugo's explosion and sticking to the side of one of the buildings. Izuku narrowed his eyes. Izuku. V. Deactivate all the quirks including the spider powers. Venom. Are you sure? Izuku. He won't listen to reason, so it's better to use OFA at its fullest, wouldn't you agree? Venom. Asterisk chuckles. Alright, go wild, but if things go south I'm backing you up, but in the meantime I'll enjoy the show. With that, Izuku felt his hands and legs slipping from the wall, so he jumped off and activated OFA. Full cowling at 10%, making the lighting arcs brighter and more lively than ever. And went on the offensive, causing strong winds to form, leaving buildings damaged. A security bot is secretly watching the fight between Izuku and Katsuki. The security bot alerts Shota and tells him to come and stop them. Shota leaves his room, but before he can proceed further someone stops him. Izuku tells Katsuki that his aspirations are not wrong. Katsuki ignores him and attacks Izuku with another explosion, to which Izuku successfully dodges using one for all full cowl and quickly kicked Katsuki in the side, pushing him back. Katsuki remembers his childhood where Izuku would always trail along behind him, and no matter how many times he would beat him up or scold him, Izuku would still tag along. Katsuki demands that Izuku fights him, while remembering that even through they admired All Might, Izuku has still managed to get ahead of him. Katsuki remembers All Might telling him that he understood that Katsuki's anger is due to Izuku's sudden growth, and tells him that someone at level 1 and someone at level 50 won't grow at the same rate. Katsuki charges at Izuku with his right arm swinging forward. Izuku prepares to block Katsuki's right swing, but as they get close to each other, Katsuki instead tries to kick Izuku in the face with his right leg, but Izuku's reaction time was quicker than ever and avoided the blow, and finding out Katsuki's right-hand swing was nothing more than a diversion, but Izuku kicked him again, only this to the gut, making him grunt in pain. Katsuki tries to take the opportunity to attack the defenseless Izuku, but Izuku uses one for all full cowl to perform a back handstand, which knocks Katsuki away and onto the ground. Izuku saw this, remembering how he tried to help Katsuki from the river but instead hated him because he wanted to help. Katsuki looked at Izuku with rage. Katsuki. Why aren't taking this seriously and stop worrying about me? As he gets up, He was confused as to how he ended up trailing behind someone who was always trailing behind him his entire life and is angry that the roles are now reversed. Katsuki is angry as to why he became the reason for All Might's end. Katsuki notes that if he had been stronger he wouldn't have been kidnapped and All Might would still be a hero. Katsuki has been keeping his discovery about the truth of All Might to himself, which has been causing him strain and anxiety. Izuku realized something and Venom smiled when he saw his host thoughts that Katsuki has been carrying that burden of keeping All Might's secret to himself for a while. Katsuki charges at Izuku. Izuku activates one for all full cowl shoot style and manages to kick Katsuki in the face, which stops Katsuki's charge. While the fight between them may be meaningless since no matter who wins or loses, Izuku understood that the only one who can perceive Katsuki's feelings in this battle now is him and has decided to fight seriously. Izuku activates one for all full cowl throughout his body with his eyes turning white for a second and tells Katsuki this. Izuku. Allergit fine, you win, there's no holding back between us, so get ready. Kachin. Izuku's POV. From my declaration to him I decided to go over a bit of my powers. Izuku. Hey V, turn it up to 12% would you, Venom? You can go more than that, but okay, just get this over with. With OFA at 12% plus adding a strength quirk to boost me about 5 times will give me a edge. Nobody's POV. Katsuki launches himself in the air with an explosion and propels himself to the ground with another explosion, but Izuku is able to dodge with his enhanced speed. Katsuki spins himself around and launches himself at Izuku, which creates an explosion wheel. Izuku continues dodging and sees that Katsuki is closing the distance between them after he stops spinning, attempts to use an explosion on his opponent's stomach, but Izuku saw right through and dodged and gave Katsuki a hard kick to the chin, but Katsuki wasn't done and sent an explosion pushing Izuku to a railing and him back. Katsuki, not wanting to give his opponent any time to think, he immediately begins to attack again, but Izuku does a handstand on the railing which allows him to avoid Katsuki. Katsuki grabs Izuku's arm and throws him onto the ground, who did a flip and landed on his feet, but doing so causes him to knock himself into the railing. Izuku looked at Katsuki, seeing this as pointless, deactivated OFA. Katsuki, who saw this, made him mad. Katsuki. What are you doing? We aren't done yet. Izuku. Well, I am, and thanks to our little stunt it's obvious Aizawa is going to be here soon. Katsuki. I don't care if he shows, I want us to continue to show you I am still the best. Izuku. And I don't care about any competition. Kachin. He was shocked to hear Izuku say that nickname when they were kids and deactivated his quirk. Izuku started walking towards him. Izuku. I know how you feel more than anyone and I want to start over. He looked at Izuku while having tears in his eyes. Once Izuku got close he then put out his hands and smiled. Izuku. The name's Izuku Midoriya, I hope we can become good friends and classmates from now on. Katsuki looked at him and smiled, and then grabbed Izuku's hand and the two of them shook on it. Katsuki. The name's Katsuki Bakugo and I'd like to start over as friends and good classmates. Dekiru. Izuku smiled at that. Izuku. Nice to know we're going to start off great. Kachin. With that, the two former best friends were now making amends to each other. While this was going on, Venom was thinking. Venom. She's here but I can't seem to pinpoint where she is, please be okay my daughter. Carnage. Izuku's POV. Venom was laughing his ass off because of the predicament me and Katsuki has right now. With that, both Aizawa and All Might left, leaving me and Katsuki to head to our rooms. I looked at Katsuki and said, Izuku. Hey Katsuki. He looked at me when I smiled. Izuku. I'm glad we're friends again. He then smiled back and said whatever and went inside his room, and I did the same, only to suddenly get pushed and be on my bed and to see my darling Himiko before me, straddling my lower body and giving me a look while having a small knife, and what she was wearing was downright sexy. Izuku. Hee, I'm in danger. Venom. Damn right you are, it's time for the long-awaited slice, dice roleplay sex of all, ha 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 ha. Hope you can last long bub, cause I'm rooting for ya. I couldn't think straight what Venom said cause I was in a makeout session with Himiko and things are about to get more pleasurable. Nobody's POV. We see Izuku and Himiko sleeping peacefully in bed, enjoying each other's comfort. Venom was out of Izuku's body thinking. Venom. I need to do this for your sake, Izu. I can't bear to see you in pain if something ever happens to your mom or your lovers. Venom made up his mind and concentrated. He finally found what he needed. Venom. Pinpointed memory loss plus wide range x 100. Venom decided to use these quirks to erase the memories of the people seeing Izuku as Spider-Man without his mask, meaning going to be 2 lives for him, even the ones he loves but only the ones he knows will help him. Venom. And I can't forget Silencer. I don't want them to blurt out Izuku's identity. I'm sorry, bud. With that finish, Venom went back into Izuku's body silently crying. Venom. Carnage, please be okay. The next day, Class 1A learn about Izuku and Katsuki's fight. As Izuku and Katsuki clean the dormitory, Ochako hopes that they made up, to which Izuku replies that they're doing all right. Tenya is happy that they got off the hook with house arrest only and that the rest of Class 1A will attend the opening ceremony without them. Shuyo asks Katsuki what he plans to do about the provisional hero license supplementary lessons, to which Katsuki tells her that it is none of her business. After the class left with Mineta bro fishing Izuku, it was just Izuku and Katsuki. As they clean, Katsuki talks to Izuku about his one-for-all shoot style, telling Izuku that his wind-up motions are too big and are not useful in a slugfest and that the style does not mix well with punches, but he also said he was good still, which Izuku was glad about the information and just chuckled, thinking he only did that for the fun of it. Izuku suddenly was thinking after Himiko left through the window in her spider suit he started to feel like something's wrong. Izuku. Okay, so far I've got a bad feeling and it's not Venom raping me, bad that's for sure. Venom. Oh, lighten up would you, I know you enjoy me being the one to dominate you. Izuku didn't answer, which proved Venom's point. While Izuku was busy, Venom sighed in relief. Venom. I can't tell him yet. When we go out that's when he'll see the changes. Minoru's paw. Outside, Tenya told the class not to break formation. While on our way, Nito Monoma criticizes us for having 2 of their classmates fail. Hiroshima wonders if any of Class 1B failed, to which Nito laughs. Nito reveals that all of Class 1B passed and none of them failed. Class 1B are happy that they have pulled ahead. Shuyo was apologizing for letting Class 1A down, but Eijiro tells her not to let it bother her. Pony Tsunotori informs Class 1A that according to Sekijiro-kan, during the second semester Classes 1A and 1B will be having a class together. Denki Kaminari comments on Pony being a foreigner. Pony responds in a negative way, courtesy of Nito's bad teaching, causing Itsuka to criticize Nito. Someone tells Class 1A and 1B to stop holding up the line. Tenya apologizes for doing so. The person is revealed to be Hitoshi. As Hitoshi passes by he borrows fist me while Hantasiro comments on Hitoshi being more serious. I suddenly got a text and it seemed Hitoshi got the same. The 2 of us were confused when it came from Mei saying, Mei, we'll meet up when it's night and bring Izuku with you while I bring another, okay? I narrowed my eyes thinking what Mei wants to talk about, but until then I need to figure what weapons can I use. Nobody's paw. All of UA arrive at ground beta. Nezu introduces himself. After talking about his diet and lifestyle going out of sync, he states that the reason for his lifestyle becoming inadequate is due to the incident that took during the summer break. He talks about All Might's retirement and the negative effect it will have on society, and the Department of Heroics will likely see the most striking effects. Nezu tells the second and third years that the hero work studies that they are engaged with they must have an awareness of the crisis and conduct themselves accordingly. Nezu apologizes for bringing down the mood, but the heroes are dealing with the situation to the best of their abilities and he would like nothing more than to develop them into individuals who will take over their efforts. Just when Nezu was about to finish, one of the second-year students questioned about whether Spider-Man will be taken down. This caused a lot of argument between the students, but Mineta and Shinso were both shocked and questioned themselves what the hell was going on. Nezu. Please settle down everyone, and I'm sure you're right, Spider-Man is still a vigilante and even though he's done a lot he's still breaking the law, so we'll everything we can to capture and lead him to the right path. Nezu ends his speech by saying that whether they are in the departments of heroics, support, and general education and even the staff of UA, they must not forget that they are the successors to the Hero Society. After Nezu leaves the podium, Toshinori ponders about successors, and thinks back to when Nezu made a suggestion to look for a successor at UA and gave him the opportunity to look for a successor by taking up a teaching position at UA. Toshinori looks into the crowd of UA students while thinking about Nezu, stating that there is someone who would surely be a fitting successor amongst the UA students. Toshinori. I wonder what Izuku's mom likes, hopefully she's still single. Among all the students gathered there is a third-year student who is especially interested in the latest events. It's already night and see on top of a building is Mei in her tech suit along with Shinso, Mineta, Toga and White Tigress without her mask on. She's Melissa's shield. All 5 of them were frustrated on what's going on and are waiting for Izuku, and not a second too late they see him swinging towards them and met them while going upside down. Izuku. Hey guys, I didn't know we were having a small party, I would have brought some cake and party hats. He said as a joke, but he was confused when he saw them not smiling. Izuku. Geez, did something happen to sour your moods or what? When Izuku saw Melissa and what she was wearing surprised him, but before he can retort anything. Mineta. Dude, aren't a bit confused on what's going on. Izuku just tilted his head, making the others sigh. Shinso. Didn't you hear anything when you swing all the way to our location? Anything concerning about you? Izuku. Well, some people did saw saying stuff'll let me why I'm doing this, but hey, there'll always be haters, at least, right? Mei went to Izuku and brought her phone. Izuku. What do you want me to see, Mei? Mei. Look at the articles and you'll see. And Izuku did just that, and when it was about 10 minutes and he showed different emotions that his suit started to produce tendrils. Hamiko. Izu, it's okay. Izuku just looked at them and they saw him having tears in his eyes and smiled. Izuku. I'll be fine, I just need to be alone for a while, you guys should go back, okay? The girls went to him and gave him a hug, which he hugged and bro-fisted Mineta and Shinso. When he got his mask up, Mineta. Izuku, just be careful, you're now a vigilante again, so please don't get caught. Izuku just nodded and gave a 2-finger salute and jumped away and swing off. Mineta clenched his fist, feeling like he should have done more. He felt a hand on his shoulder and looked to see it was Shinso. Shinso. He'll be fine, have some faith on him, he'll pull through. Mineta. I know, but that doesn't mean I'll like it, I just hope he doesn't get himself killed like before. Shinso. He's got venom with him and plus he's hard to be taken down, so don't worry. Mineta just nodded and sighed. Mineta. Please Izuku, don't hurt yourself anymore. Meanwhile, Izuku is seen swinging from building to building, hearing the voices of the people talking about him, why he's breaking the law. He suddenly lost focus and crashed to a wall and fell to the ground. Izuku. Grrhhrd, damn it, sigh. He sat up for a bit and rested his back on the wall. Izuku. Why is this happening? Venom. Izuku. Izuku. V, is this because of villain? If so, please tell me you know where to find them. Venom. It's not a villain, Izuku. Izuku. Then, who did this? Please tell me. Venom. It's me. Izuku was shocked, and when Venom revealed himself, Izuku narrowed his eyes. Izuku. You better start explaining Venom right fucking now. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and now we will see you in the next video.